family farm, the true tree of the immortal dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326. Taibei pair. Ye Changsheng watched his son Ye Changsheng leave with satisfaction, his heart filled with pride and joy. At this moment, he suddenly remembered the seed of the third-grade blood-sucking vine that he had obtained not long ago. A thought flashed through his mind. It's time to upgrade the defense of Qinghu Peak. Ye Changsheng immediately entered the fairy tree space with a thought. He came to the storage area and carefully took out the precious blood-sucking vine seed. The seed was dark red, with fine lines on the surface, and exuded a faint bloody smell. Ye Changsheng looked at it carefully for a while, and then took out a drop of crystal clear third-grade fairy dew from another corner of the space. He placed the seed in his palm and carefully dripped the fairy dew on the seed. In an instant, a dazzling red light flashed, and the fairy dew was instantly absorbed by the seed. Then, a thin vine emerged from the seed and grew wildly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ye Changsheng watched this magical scene intently. The vine grew thicker and thicker, and soon reached the thickness of an arm. At the same time, countless tiny branches branched out from the main trunk, and continued to extend. The surface of the vine was covered with blood-red scales, shining with a metallic luster at the end of the vine. There were sharp barbs, which looked extremely hideous and terrifying. In just a few breaths, a huge blood-sucking vine was fully unfolded in front of Ye Changsheng. It was dozens of feet tall, with tangled roots, and covering the sky. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but take a breath, thinking that this defense might be stronger than he imagined. Just as Ye Changsheng was amazed, countless blood-red flowers suddenly bloomed on the blood-sucking vine. These flowers exuded a strong fragrance, but they smelled a little bloody. The flowers bloomed very quickly, and they were all in full bloom in the blink of an eye. Then, the petals began to fall, replaced by bright red fruits. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he knew that these fruits were pregnant with new blood-sucking vine seeds. He waited patiently for the fruit to fully mature, and then carefully picked it. After careful cleaning and screening, Ye Changsheng finally collected hundreds of high-quality blood-sucking vine seeds. Looking at the considerable number of seeds in his hand, Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. He decided to take out 40 seeds first to strengthen the defense of Qinghu Peak. After leaving the fairy tree space, Ye Changsheng immediately set out for the four borders of Qinghu Peak. He first came to the eastern border of Qinghu Peak, carefully observed the terrain, and selected 10 most suitable locations for planting. Ye Changsheng carefully dug 10 pits, put a seed in each pit, and then covered it with soil full of spiritual power. After planting, he injected some spiritual power into each planting point to accelerate the growth of the seeds. After completing the planting on the east side, Ye Changsheng came to the southern, western and northern borders in turn, and planted the remaining 30 seeds in the same way. Throughout the process, he maintained a high degree of concentration to ensure that every seed was properly placed. After the planting was completed, Ye Changsheng stood at the highest point of Qinghu Peak and looked down at the entire mountain. Although there was no trace of the bloodthirsty vines yet, he knew that in the near future, these terrible vines would form an indestructible line of defense around Qinghu Peak. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction and murmured to himself, with these bloodthirsty vines, plus the original formation, the defense of Qinghu Peak will be taken to a higher level. Even a cultivator in the Purple Mansion period would have to think twice before forcing his way in. Thinking of this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but smile with relief. He knew that he only needed to wait patiently for these bloodthirsty vines to grow and develop. I believe that it won't be long before Qinghu Peak will become the strongest fortress of the Ye family. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng sat on the altar of the Heavenly Palace and prepared to go to the Heavenly Palace. He was thinking in his heart that, in order to prepare for the upcoming 10 Friends Association exchange meeting, he must purchase some rare spiritual medicines. As the light of the altar flickered, Ye Changsheng's figure disappeared from the spot, and the next moment he appeared on the Heavenly Palace. He took a deep breath, feeling the rich spiritual energy in the Heavenly Palace, and his spirit was lifted. Ye Changsheng did not stay on other floors of the Heavenly Palace, and went directly to the third to last floor. Here gathered the top spiritual medicine shops in the Heavenly Palace, which was exactly the destination of his trip. Point among the many shops, Ye Changsheng chose a spiritual medicine shop with the largest scale and the most gorgeous decoration. Point pushing the door open and walking in, a strong medicinal fragrance hits the face, which makes people feel refreshed. This young man, welcome. A middle-aged shopkeeper in gorgeous clothes immediately came up and said with a smile. Ye Changsheng asked directly, what are the most precious and scarce spiritual fruits in your store? The shopkeeper's eyes lit up, knowing that he had met a big customer. He thought for a moment, then named several spiritual fruits. The most precious spiritual fruits in my shop are Washan fruit, Xiling fruit, Jiazuan Chinden fruit, Sun Essence fruit, Yuhua condensed dew fruit and Kikehangsha fruit. These are rare spiritual fruits of the 4th grade, with extraordinary effects. Ye Changsheng listened carefully. His eyes stayed on Washan fruit and Xiling fruit for a moment, and then made a decision. I want 1 Washan fruit and 1 Xiling fruit. The shopkeeper was overjoyed when he heard this, and hurriedly introduced, young master, you have a good eye. Washan fruit can help you realize the truth for 3 months after taking it, and the effect is much stronger than the enlightenment tea. Xiling fruit can give the user a half spiritual body cultivation speed of 10 years, which is similar to the immortal root fruit. How many spiritual stones are each of these 2 spiritual fruits? Ye Changsheng asked. The enlightenment fruit requires 400,000 high-grade spiritual stones, and the ultimate spirit fruit requires 600,000 high-grade spiritual stones. The shopkeeper replied respectfully. Ye Changsheng nodded, took out 1 million high-grade spiritual stones from the storage bag, and handed it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper carefully took the spirit stones, and after carefully counting them, he took out 2 exquisite jade boxes from the secret room of the store, packed the enlightenment fruit and the supreme spirit fruit respectively, and handed them to Ye Changsheng. After completing the transaction, Ye Changsheng did not leave immediately, but continued upwards to the penultimate floor of the Heavenly Palace. There are also many elixir shops here, but the scale and quality are slightly inferior to those on the next floor. Ye Changsheng once again chose a store that sells the largest spiritual fruit. After entering the store, he asked directly, does your store have any elixir that can be taken during the Zifu period to directly increase cultivation? The shopkeeper was a shrewd old man. When he heard Ye Changsheng's question, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He thought for a moment and then recommended, sir, our store has a 3rd order high-grade Taibei pear. Although the grade is not as good as the 4th order spiritual fruits just now, for the Zifu period monks, it can indeed directly increase their cultivation. Taibei pear? What is the specific effect? Ye Changsheng asked. Chapter 327 Return to Golden Light Fortress. The shopkeeper explained, after taking Taibei pear, the cultivation level of a purple mansion cultivator can be directly improved by 20 years. Ye Changsheng nodded and asked, how much is it? 40,000 high-grade spirit stones per piece. The shopkeeper replied. Ye Changsheng thought for a moment and decided to buy a Taibei pear. He took out 40,000 high-grade spirit stones from his storage bag and handed them to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper carefully put a crystal clear pear with a faint fragrance into a jade box and handed it to Ye Changsheng. After completing all the purchases, Ye Changsheng left the Heavenly Palace with satisfaction and returned to the real world. After Ye Changsheng returned to the real world, he couldn't wait to use the Taibei pear he had just bought. He found a quiet place and carefully took out the crystal clear pear from the jade box. The Taibei pear exudes a faint fragrance, which makes people feel refreshed. He observed it carefully, then cut the pear open with spiritual power, and took out the pear seed inside. Ye Changsheng closed his eyes, and entered the fairy tree space. In this magical space, he chose a piece of land suitable for planting, and buried the pear seeds in it. Then Ye Changsheng took out the treasured 3rd level fairy dew and carefully dripped it on the land where the pear seeds had just been buried. As soon as the fairy dew landed, it immediately emitted a dazzling light, and the whole space was shrouded in a warm halo. Under the magical effect of the fairy dew, the pear seeds sprouted and grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, a thriving Tabe pear tree rose from the ground and soon grew to more than 3 meters high. The tree was full of white pear flowers, the petals were like snow, and it exuded a refreshing fragrance. Not long after, the pear flowers withered, replaced by crystal clear pears. These pears grew rapidly and exuded a faint spiritual fluctuation. When all the pears were ripe, Ye Changsheng counted them and found that there were a total of 24 Tabe pears. He carefully picked these precious spiritual fruits, each of which exuded an alluring aroma. After leaving the fairy tree space, he took out the largest and fullest Tabe pear and gave it to his grandfather Ye Jiu, who then he picked the one with the best color and gave it to his mother Cui Linglang. Finally, he gave one to each of his 2 wives Zhang Yun and Zhang Fei. Everyone was amazed at the new fruit Ye Changsheng obtained, and they were all surprised to accept it. Ye Changsheng believed that after they took it, their cultivation progress would be greatly improved. Time passed quickly, and half a month had passed. Ye Changsheng had completely consolidated his cultivation of the first level of Zifu. He came to visit Ye Changsheng as soon as possible. When Ye Changsheng saw Ye Changsheng coming, a relieved smile appeared on his face. He greeted enthusiastically, "Chengyu, you came just in time. It seems that the cultivation in the past half month has been very effective." Ye Changsheng saluted respectfully, with excitement in his eyes. "Thanks to my father's guidance and the help of the treasures, I can consolidate my cultivation so quickly." Ye Changsheng nodded, took out a crystal clear fairy root fruit and 12 3 soul fruits with a faint spiritual aura from the storage bag, as well as a Tabe pear. He handed these precious spiritual fruits to Ye Changsheng and detailed the magical uses of various spiritual fruits. He said earnestly, "This is the spiritual fruit I prepared for you for the next stage of cultivation. You must take it well." Ye Changsheng took the spiritual fruit with both hands, his eyes full of gratitude. "Father, I will make good use of these treasures, work hard to cultivate, and live up to your expectations." Ye Changsheng patted his son on the shoulder and encouraged, "I believe you can do it. Now go back and continue to practice. Come to me at any time if you have any questions." After seeing Ye Changsheng off, Ye Changsheng began to get busy. His vacation was about to end, and he needed to deal with some family affairs and personal trivia. He called the elders of the family together to discuss some important decisions in the next few days. Ye Changsheng took the time to sort out his cultivation experience and recorded some important experiences for future reference. He also checked his equipment and reserves to make sure everything was ready. Finally, more than 10 days later, Ye Changsheng's vacation was over. He stood at the gate of the family compound, facing the relatives who came to see him off, his heart full of reluctance and expectation. He said goodbye to his relatives one by one and told them to care for each other and practice hard during his absence. Under the gaze of his relatives, Ye Changsheng embarked on the journey to the Golden Light Fortress. After half a year of hard flight, Ye Changsheng finally arrived at the Golden Light Fortress. The moment he stepped into the city gate, Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and felt this familiar and unfamiliar city. In a year and a half, the fortress did not seem to have changed much, but there was a tense atmosphere in the air, and it was obvious that the border situation was still severe. The first thing Ye Changsheng did after entering the city was to go to the command center to spend his vacation. He walked into the solemn building and showed his identity token to the officer on duty. The officer saluted respectfully and quickly handled the formalities for him. Ye Changsheng nodded, asked about some recent situations, and then said goodbye and left. He couldn't wait to see his family. Crossing the bustling streets, Ye Changsheng came to his residence in the fortress. Before entering the door, he heard the laughter of children playing. The moment the door was opened, the 8 3-year-old children were stunned. Wondering who this strange man was, Ye Changsheng said, "I'm your father. Come and hug one." Ye Changsheng squatted down and opened his arms, but no child came to him. Instead, they all ran away in fear. At this time, the 8 wives also came after hearing the news. When they saw Ye Changsheng, their eyes were full of tears of joy. Ye Changsheng stood up and hugged them one by one. "Husband, you are finally back. We have missed you for the past year and a half." Shen Yufeng said softly. Ye Changsheng said apologetically, "I'm sorry to have worried you. You have worked hard to take care of the children during this period." He took out 8 exquisite brocade boxes from the storage bag and handed one to each wife. "This is the gift I brought to you. I hope you like it." The 8 wives opened the brocade boxes, and each of them lay a crystal clear tebe pear. Ye Changsheng introduced, "This is a 3rd grade high quality spiritual fruit. After taking it, it can increase the cultivation of the Purple Palace by 20 years. Each person can only take it once. I think we can take this opportunity to retreat together and improve our cultivation together." The 8 wives heard this, and a hint of surprise flashed in their eyes. Lin Zero smiled and said, "Husband is really considerate. This tebe pear is a rare treasure. We naturally agree with husband's proposal." The other wives also nodded in agreement. Ye Changsheng smiled with relief, turned to the children and said, "I'm really your father. If you don't believe me, ask your mother." Chapter 328, Descendants of the Heavenly Spiritual Roots. Finally, after their mothers told them, the children accepted the fact that Ye Changsheng was their father. Ye Changsheng tried to play with them, and gradually, in an afternoon, they finally got familiar with each other. It was not until the sky gradually darkened that he reluctantly handed them over to the servants at home to take care of them. Afterwards, Ye Changsheng brought his 8 wives to the cave house specially used for cultivation. Each of them had a cave house, and they did not disturb each other. Time was like flowing water, and 5 years passed in a hurry. In these 5 years, Ye Changsheng once again used a drop of 4th level fairy dew to give birth to a spiritual fruit tree and harvested 12 spiritual fruits. Ye Changsheng took one and then took the tebe pear with the superposition of the 2 phases plus the effect of the fairy root fruit. Ye Changsheng's cultivation level has made great progress in these 5 years. He actually broke through 4 levels in succession and reached the 7th level of the Purple Mansion. Ye Changsheng's 8 wives also made great progress. Shen Yufeng was originally the 7th level of the Purple Mansion, and now she has broken through to the 9th level of the Purple Mansion. King Lion Han was originally at the 7th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is also at the 9th level. Lin Zero was originally at the 5th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is also at the 7th level of the Purple Mansion. Liu Ruan was originally at the 6th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is at the 8th level of the Purple Mansion. Mirren King was originally at the 5th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is at the 8th level of the Purple Mansion, because she has a natural spiritual root. Su Yurao was originally at the 5th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is at the 7th level of the Purple Mansion. Chu Yunnan was originally at the 6th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is at the 9th level of the Purple Mansion, and she also has a natural spiritual root. Hua Jiayu was originally at the 7th level of the Purple Mansion, and now is at the 9th level of the Purple Mansion. As for Ye Changsheng's 6th Danyuan medicine shop, it is also operating normally. In the past 5 years, Ye Changsheng also went home to visit once. Taking advantage of the opportunity to go home to visit relatives, Ye Changsheng went to the Heavenly Palace to purchase a large batch of goods, which is 6 kinds of medicines, each of which is 1,500. It cost 4.68 billion. By now, Ye Changsheng has accumulated more than 300 million medium grade spirit stones in recent years. Ye Changsheng has bred 2 3rd grade top quality tebe pears. He gave each of the 3 groups of 42 fire crows in the early stage of the Purple Mansion a tebe pear. In addition to the demon pills he fed them on weekdays. A total of 14 of these 3-legged fire crows have advanced to the middle stage of the Purple Mansion, including Xiaohuo, who is the most favored by Ye Changsheng. The remaining 28 3-legged fire crows are also on the verge of a breakthrough, and they should be able to break through to the middle stage of the Purple Mansion in a few years. Another situation is that the 16 children born by Ye Changsheng in the Golden Light Fortress are all over 8 years old. It is time to test their spiritual roots on this day. Ye Changsheng's cave was very lively. The 16 children were led by their mothers, lined up from oldest to youngest, and went to test their spiritual roots one by one. Ye Changsheng personally controlled the crystal ball for testing the magic tool. Ye Shenki, no spiritual roots. Ye Shengru, natural spiritual roots. Wow, my son has natural spiritual roots. After the natural spiritual roots were detected, Ye Shengru's mother Shen Yufeng jumped up happily. Ye Changsheng was also very excited. After all, this was his first natural spiritual root heir, but he did not show it. The test continued. Ye Shenglan, 2 spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, no spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, 4 spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, no spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, 3 spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, natural spiritual roots, another natural spiritual root. Ye Changsheng's face finally couldn't help but smile. This Ye Changsheng is Liu Ruan's child, and Liu Ruan is also very excited. The test continued. Ye Changsheng, 5 spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, no spiritual roots, Ye Changfei, 2 spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, no spiritual roots, Ye Changsheng, 4 spiritual roots, Ye Changxi, no spiritual roots, Ye Changsh, 3 spiritual roots, Ye Changli, no spiritual roots. The test results were good. Half of them had spiritual roots, and the more surprising thing was that there were 2 natural spiritual roots. Ye Changsheng took out the key refining part of the Zifu Changsheng Sutra and copied it 8 times, gave it to their mothers, and asked them to start teaching their children to practice. After finishing all this, Ye Changsheng hurried back to the alchemy room to make pills after several years of training. Ye Changsheng has been able to refine Zifudan, and now he has become a veritable 3rd level alchemist. After advancing to a 3rd level alchemist, Ye Changsheng no longer entangled with the 6 fixed pills, such as the Kisandan he is refining now. It is a 3rd level low grade pill used to replenish vitality after injury. It took half a month to refine this furnace of elixir. After finishing the elixir, Ye Changsheng went into the retreat room to practice magic. Because Ye Changsheng advanced to the late stage of Zifu, cultivators in the late stage of Zifu need to pay special attention to the practice of magic. Because the magic practiced in the Zifu period is the seed of various magical powers in the Daoting period. If the magic in the Zifu period is not up to standard, it will be even more difficult to practice magical powers in the Daoting period. And if you don't have 2 decent magical powers in the Daoting period, you can only be considered a half Daoting period cultivator, and your combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. At this time, Ye Changsheng was in the retreat room, holding a wood element 5 element fruit, and swallowed it in one gulp. Then he began to practice the Wanmu rejuvenation technique in the retreat room. Ye Changsheng sat cross-legged in the retreat room, and the pure energy of the wood element 5 element fruit flowed in his body. He took a deep breath and began to focus on the practice of the Wanmu rejuvenation technique. This spell is the best among wood spells. It can not only heal injuries, but also nourish all things. As the energy of the 5 element fruit was absorbed, Ye Changsheng felt a gentle vitality surrounding his body. He closed his eyes, immersed his consciousness in this vitality, and guided it to flow to his limbs. Gradually, a faint green light appeared on his skin, like new buds in spring. Ye Changsheng silently recited the formula in his heart, guiding the wood energy to flow through the meridians. He could feel the vitality in his body growing, as if he had become a growing tree. This feeling made him ecstatic, because it meant that he had taken another step forward in the practice of the 10,000 wood rejuvenation technique. Time passed bit by bit, and Ye Changsheng was immersed in practice, completely forgetting the existence of the outside world. His consciousness seemed to be integrated with the entire natural world, feeling the rhythm of the growth of all things in this mysterious state. His understanding of the 10,000 wood rejuvenation technique continued to deepen. Suddenly, Ye Changsheng felt a powerful energy bursting in his body. He knew that this was a sign of a breakthrough. He immediately adjusted his breathing and focused on guiding this energy. With a slight click sound, Ye Changsheng felt that his mastery of the 10,000 wood rejuvenation technique had reached a new level. Opening his eyes, Ye Changsheng showed a happy smile on his face. He knew that he had practiced the 10,000 wood rejuvenation technique to the minor success level. There are 5 stages in the practice of magic: proficiency, mastery, minor success, major success, and the pinnacle. This achievement made him feel proud, because it meant that he had taken another big step forward in the practice of wood magic. Chapter 329 The 5 Heroes of Zifu Reunite. Looking back on his efforts over the past few years, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but feel emotional. The 5 element fruit trees were the result of his careful cultivation. Each tree had 5 layers, and each layer produced 5 element fruits with the 5 attributes of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. These precious fruits not only accelerated his own cultivation, but also allowed him to share them with his 8 wives. Ye Changsheng smiled and remembered that he distributed 5 to 10 5-element fruits to each of his wives, so that they could also benefit. He used the remaining fruits to practice various spells as a monk with the 3 spiritual roots of wood, fire, and earth. Ye Changsheng decided to choose 5 spells in each attribute to focus on. Now, he has made considerable progress in wood spells. In addition to the newly completed 10,000 wood rejuvenation technique, he is also practicing 4 other wood spells. Although the progress varies, Ye Changsheng believes that, as long as he perseveres, one day he will be able to practice all these spells to the highest level. Ye Changsheng took out an invitation at this time. It was the invitation for the gathering of the 5 heroes of the Z Mansion, which was 5 days later. 5 days later, Ye Changsheng packed up and came to Ye Changfeng's house again. 5 days later, Ye Changsheng dressed up carefully, tidied up his clothes, took the gifts he had prepared for a long time, and set out on the road to Ye Changfeng's mansion. He was looking forward to it, but also a little nervous. After all, he hadn't seen these friends for a while. Arriving at the door of Li Mansion, Ye Changsheng was welcomed in by a kind-looking gatekeeper. The gatekeeper said respectfully, "Master Ye, please come with me. Several other distinguished guests have already arrived and are waiting for you in the garden." Ye Changsheng followed the gatekeeper through several corridors and arrived at Ye Changfeng's private garden. As soon as he entered the garden, Ye Changsheng was stunned by the sight in front of him. The flowers are blooming in the garden. Exotic flowers and plants can be seen everywhere, and the air is filled with a faint floral fragrance. Obviously, Ye Changfeng is also quite accomplished in gardening. Walking through a lush bamboo forest, Ye Changsheng saw 4 familiar figures sitting at an exquisite stone table. Ye Changfeng was the first to notice Ye Changsheng's arrival. He stood up with a bright smile on his face and said loudly, "Haha, brother Changsheng, long time no see. Please take a seat." Ye Changsheng walked forward with a smile and greeted everyone one by one. "It has indeed been a long time since I last saw my brothers. I miss you very much." After Ye Changsheng sat down, Ye Changfeng smiled mysteriously and said, "Brother Changsheng, look at the rest of us. Is there any change?" As soon as he finished speaking, Ye Changfeng, Zhao Wuji and Qian Yiming released powerful auras at the same time. Ye Changsheng suddenly felt a majestic power coming towards him. His heart was shocked, and then he said with great joy, "Congratulations to the 3 brothers for advancing to the Taoist realm. This is a great joy." Ye Changfeng smiled and waved his hand and said, "Brother Changsheng, this is all thanks to your 10,000-year-old purple blood ginseng. A few years ago, my master successfully refined 9 deoting pills. The 3 of us cultivators, because I had reached the peak of Zifu, I immediately took the deoting pill in seclusion, and then I successfully broke through to the deoting realm." As he spoke, Ye Changfeng took out an exquisite jade box from his arms and handed it to Ye Changsheng. "This is your share of deoting pills. 1 high-grade deoting pill and 2 middle-grade deoting pills. You deserve this." Ye Changsheng was a little flattered, but he still took the jade box respectfully and carefully put it into his storage bag. He said sincerely, "Thank you brothers for your love. It is my honor to be able to contribute to your cultivation." Everyone exchanged a few more words, and the topic gradually turned to their cultivation experience and current situation. Ye Changfeng suddenly said, "Speaking of which, it was the right decision to invite brother Changsheng to join our small circle. With brother Changsheng's talent in cultivating spiritual plants, we may have to worry about the elixirs we use for cultivation in the future. Where is brother Changsheng?" Several other people agreed, and Zhao Wuji even smiled and said, "Yes, brother Changsheng's talent in this area is beyond our reach." Ye Changsheng said humbly, "My brothers are very grateful. If I need my younger brother to help in the future, it is an unshakable responsibility. I will go all out and never let down your trust." After hearing this, Ye Changfeng nodded with satisfaction. "Well said, brother Changsheng. You have to remember that from now on, your business is our common business. Since the 5 of us have become brothers, we naturally have to work together and make progress together. Several other people also expressed their agreement, and the scene was pleasant for a while. Ye Changsheng's heart surged with warmth, and he felt this precious friendship. At this moment, a maid came over carrying a plate of spiritual fruits. Ye Changsheng smiled and introduced, "This is a new variety of spiritual fruit that I have recently cultivated, called U-0,027 Ye fruit. U-0,027. Try it, everyone. How does it taste, everyone?" Picked up a spiritual fruit and tasted it. They felt the sweet fragrance in their mouths, their spiritual power was flowing through their bodies, and their spirits were lifted. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but admired. What a wonderful spiritual fruit. Brother Li's accomplishments in cultivating spiritual plants are really admirable. Ye Changsheng laughed and said, "Brother Changsheng, I'm grateful." In this way, the 5 people chatted for most of the day, sharing their own cultivation experiences and interesting experiences during this period. Ye Changsheng also specially arranged a small competition for everyone to verify each other's cultivation point. Although Ye Changsheng was still in the Zifu realm, his combat skills and spell use had surprised several of his friends in the Taoist realm. At sunset, the party reluctantly ended before leaving. Ye Changsheng solemnly said to Ye Changsheng, "Brother Changsheng, you have unlimited potential. I believe that it won't be long before you can catch up with us, or even surpass us. The 5 of us must cooperate sincerely in the future and make progress together." Ye Changsheng was deeply moved by this friendship. He solemnly said, "Thank you for your love and encouragement. I will practice diligently and live up to everyone's expectations." Amid the farewells of everyone, Ye Changsheng embarked on his way home, his heart filled with warmth and strength. 3 days later, Ye Changsheng was concentrating on practicing magic in the cave, continuing to study the secrets of the Wanmuhuchan magic. Just then, a light footstep came, interrupting his thoughts. "Husband, are you there?" Liu Ruan's voice came from outside the cave. Ye Changsheng opened his eyes and smiled. "Ruan, come in quickly." Liu Ruan pushed the door open with a trace of worry on her face. Ye Changsheng immediately noticed something was wrong and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Liu Ruan hesitated for a moment and said, "Husband, I have arranged a banquet at Xian Liju. My brother Liu Ruhei will also come, and I would like to ask you to accompany me." Chapter 330 Trouble. Ye Changsheng heard the hidden meaning in her words and felt that the matter was not simple. But seeing his wife's worried expression, he still agreed happily. "Okay, I'll go with you. But, did your brother encounter any trouble when he came?" Liu Ruan sighed and nodded. "Indeed. Let's talk about the specific situation when we get there." Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and suggested, "Why don't we take Shengjin and Shengtang with us? They may not have seen their uncle for a long time." Liu Ruan's eyes lit up and smiled. "This is a good idea. The arrival of the children can also ease the atmosphere." So, Ye Changsheng and his wife took the 2 children and went to Xian Liju together. Along the way, Ye Shengjin and Ye Shengtang happily discussed the matter of meeting their uncle, which brought a little relaxation to the slightly heavy atmosphere. After arriving at Xian Liju, the 4 were led to an elegant private room. Pushing the door in, I saw Liu Ruhei sitting there, his face slightly haggard. "Uncle." When the 2 children saw Liu Ruhei, they immediately rushed over with cheers. Liu Ruhei showed a long lost smile on his face, touched the heads of his 2 nephews, and said, "Long time no see, you have grown a lot taller." He took out 2 boxes of exquisite spiritual fruits from his arms and handed them to the 2 children. "This is a gift from uncle, try it." Ye Shengjin and Ye Shengtang happily took the spiritual fruits, thanked them obediently, and then tasted them happily. After the children settled down, Liu Ruan, Ye Changsheng and Liu Ruhei also sat down and started to eat. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Liu Ruan finally said, "Husband, my brother is really in trouble this time." Ye Changsheng put down his chopsticks and looked at Liu Ruhei seriously. "Brother Ruhei, what happened?" Liu Ruhei smiled bitterly and said slowly, "This is what happened. I and a young man with a deep background are both pursuing a female cultivator named Beiruan. We are both equally matched in our daily performance. So, the young man made a suggestion. A life and death fight. Ye Changsheng frowned and said, life and death fight? This isn't that too much? Liu Ruhei nodded and said, indeed. The specific rules are 3 matches, 2 wins out of 3. The winner can marry Beirulan. At that time, I was impulsive and agreed. Unexpectedly, Beirulan also agreed to this proposal. But the problem now is, Liu Ruhei continued with a serious look. I recently got news that the other party has found 3 very powerful late-stage Purple Mansion masters. With my current strength, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with them. Most of my friends are not opponents of the other party. After listening, Ye Changsheng fell into deep thought. After a moment, he raised his head and said, let me arrange this matter. Don't call your friends to avoid unnecessary casualties. We have me, the foreign aide I invited, and you to fight. However, you are ranked 3rd. If I'm not wrong, we should be able to win without you appearing. A glimmer of hope flashed in Liu Ruhei's eyes, but then dimmed again. Ye Changsheng noticed this detail, and asked in a deep voice, Brother Ruhei, I have another question for you. Since Beirulan agreed to let you decide her in this way, it is obvious that she does not have deep feelings for either of you. Are you sure it is worth it? This question hit Liu Ruhei's heart like a heavy hammer. He lowered his head and fell into a long silence. The atmosphere in the whole private room became solemn for a while, and even the 2 children stopped playing and looked at the adults quietly. After a long time, Liu Ruhei raised his head. With a complex light flashing in his eyes, he said with difficulty, I want to try. Ye Changsheng looked at Liu Ruhei's determined eyes with a hint of confusion, sighed and said, okay, I support you. I will try my best to help you win this competition and give you the opportunity to marry Beirulan. But, Brother Ruhei, you must remember that marriage is a matter of life. Even if you win the competition, you must carefully consider whether you really want to spend the rest of your life with someone who has no deep feelings for you. Liu Ruhei nodded solemnly, with gratitude in his eyes. Thank you, Brother Changsheng. I will think about it carefully. Liu Ruian listened on the side, worried about her brother's persistence and proud of her husband's wisdom and kindness. She gently held Ye Changsheng's hand, silently expressing her support. After Ye Changsheng left the restaurant, he had a plan in mind. He went back home first, packed up a little, and then set off to the cave of Sun King Gayan, one of the 5 heroes of Zifu. Along the way, Ye Changsheng thought about how to persuade Sun King Gayan to help. Although the 2 had a close relationship, this was a life and death fight after all, and it was no small matter. He had to act cautiously, expressing his sincerity without appearing too eager. When he arrived outside Sun King Gayan's cave, Ye Changsheng was stopped by a gatekeeper. He gave his name, and the disciple immediately became respectful and led him in. After passing through several courtyards, Ye Changsheng finally saw Sun King Gayan. Sun King Gayan was drinking tea under an ancient tree in the courtyard. When he saw Ye Changsheng coming, he immediately stood up to greet him with a warm smile on his face. Brother Changsheng, long time no see. Come and sit down, Sun King Gayan greeted enthusiastically. Come on, serve good tea. Ye Changsheng bowed and smiled. Brother Sun, how are you? The 2 exchanged a few words, and then Sun King Gayan asked straight to the point. Brother Changsheng, you rarely come to visit us on weekdays. This sudden visit must be for something important, right? If you have any questions, just say it. Our friendship is still good. Is there anything you can't say? Ye Changsheng felt happy. Sun King Gayan was really happy. He pondered for a moment and said, Brother Sun is indeed very discerning. To be honest, I really have something to ask for this time. Oh, tell me, Sun King Gayan looked at Ye Changsheng with interest. Ye Changsheng narrated what happened to Liu Ruhei, emphasizing the 3 late-stage Zifu masters that the other party had found, and the importance of this life and death battle. Sun King Gayan listened carefully and nodded from time to time. As soon as Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he smiled heartily and said, so that's what happened. Brother Changsheng, you don't need to say anything anymore. I agreed. Ye Changsheng was stunned. He didn't expect Sun King Gayan to agree so happily. Just as he was about to say thank you, Sun King Gayan said again, the battle of life and death will take place in half a month, right? Don't worry, I'll be there on time. With our strength, isn't this victory something we can easily win? When the 5 heroes of the Z mansion are, is it for nothing? Ye Changsheng was overjoyed and nodded repeatedly. Brother Sun is right. With you taking action, we will win without a doubt. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331, Using Force to Suppress Others. Sun King Gan laughed loudly, obviously enjoying it. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng flattered him a little, saying that Brother Sun was worthy of being one of the 5 heroes of Zifu, with high cultivation, righteousness, and admirable. Sun King Gan was very happy to hear this, and the two chatted for a while. Before leaving, Sun King Gan also specifically told Ye Changsheng not to worry, everything was up to him. Walking out of the gate of Sun Mansion, Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly, and Sun King Gan's straightforwardness far exceeded his expectations. It seems that the chances of winning this life and death battle have increased a lot. Time flies, and half a month has passed in the blink of an eye. The life and death battlefield in Jing'an Fortress is particularly lively today, with a lot of people. This place set up by the government, especially used to resolve grievances between cultivators, to avoid private fights causing greater disputes. The news of today's life and death battle spread like wildfire, attracting a large number of cultivators to come and watch. Ye Changsheng, Liu Ruan and Liu Ruhei arrived early, looking solemn. Soon, a figure floated over. It was Sun King Gan. He nodded to Ye Changsheng and then stood behind him. With extraordinary momentum. The atmosphere in the field became more and more tense, and everyone was looking forward to it. Finally, an old man with white hair and beard came in the air. It was the elder of the Dao Court who presided over this life and death fight. He looked around and said loudly, "Today's life and death fight is about to begin. Both parties please come forward to confirm your identity and order of appearance." After confirmation, the elder announced loudly, "The life and death fight officially begins." Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and stepped onto the ring first. A burly man on the opposite side also jumped up, exuding the powerful aura of the 9th level of the Purple Mansion. If it were an ordinary cultivator, he would be afraid. "I am Wang Tishan, please teach me." The big man clasped his fists. Ye Changsheng smiled indifferently. Ye Changsheng, as soon as these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar. Wang Tishan's face suddenly changed, and his brows were furrowed. The audience below the stage was even more talking. It turned out to be Ye Changsheng, one of the 5 heroes of Purple Mansion. This is going to be a good show. Wang Tishan forced himself to calm down, took out a long sword with a gleaming silver light, and got ready for a fight. At this moment, Ye Changsheng gently patted the monster bag on his waist. In an instant, 9 huge 3-legged fire crows took off into the air, each of which exuded the powerful aura of the middle stage of Purple Mansion. They circled around Ye Changsheng, making bursts of chirping, and the flames were lingering. And the scene was spectacular. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Brother Wang, why don't we change the way of competition? These 9 fire crows are my spiritual pets that I have cultivated for many years, and they are officially registered with the Jing'an Fortress. If you can escape from their siege, I will admit defeat. How about it?" Wang Tishan's face became even uglier. When he heard this, he looked around and saw 9 fire crows staring at him, as if he had fallen into a desperate situation. After thinking for a long time, he sighed, "Brother Yi is very powerful. I admire him. I admit defeat." After that, he bowed to Ye Changsheng and walked down the stage in disgrace. The whole audience was in an uproar again. They didn't expect that this long-awaited duel would end so easily. Ye Changsheng's strength and wisdom left a deep impression on everyone. Ye Changsheng took back the fire crow and looked around with a sharp gaze. Ye Changsheng won easily, which made Liu Ruan and Liu Ruhei overjoyed. They smiled at each other, and the big stone in their hearts finally fell. Ye Changsheng came down from the stage and nodded to the two of them. His eyes were full of confidence, as if saying, "Don't worry, everything is under control." Then, the doting elder who presided over the life and death fight announced again, "The second match is about to begin. Please invite both players to the stage." Sun King Iron heard this and stepped onto the stage calmly. A white-haired old man on the opposite side also walked up slowly. He looked over 70 years old, but he was energetic and his eyes were shining. The two came to the center of the ring and saluted each other according to the rules. The old man spoke first. "I'm Li Zuantong. Please teach me." Sun King Iron smiled slightly. "I'm Sun King Iron. Thank you for your care." As soon as these words came out, Li Zuanji's face changed drastically, and a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. He obviously didn't expect that his opponent was one of the famous 5 heroes of Zifu. The audience below was also boiling, and the discussion was one after another. Oh my god. It turned out to be Sun King Iron. 2 of the 5 heroes of Zifu came today, which is too much of a face. It seems that there will be gossip to listen to today. The rumors that the 5 heroes of Zifu have a good relationship are indeed well deserved. Li Zuanji forced himself to remain calm and was about to say something, but Sun King Iron didn't give him a chance. Sun King Iron patted the monster bag on his waist lightly, and a thunderous tiger aura resounded throughout the venue. In an instant, a huge Fengyun tiger appeared out of thin air. This is a huge white tiger, snow white as jade, and its hair is as smooth as silk. Its body is more than 3 feet long and its shoulder height is nearly 2 feet. Just standing there, it gives people an incomparable sense of oppression. The eyes of the Fengyun tiger are like 2 shining sapphires, deep and full of wisdom, revealing a spirituality that does not belong to ordinary monsters. The most eye-catching thing is the clouds and mists lingering on it. These clouds and mists sometimes condense into thunder and lightning, and sometimes turn into howling winds, as if this white tiger controls the changes in the wind and clouds between heaven and earth. Every movement of it is accompanied by thunder, as if the sky is accompanying it. The Fengyun tiger walks slowly, and every step makes the ground tremble slightly. Its claws flashed with cold light, so sharp that they seemed to be able to tear metal and stone easily. Its tail was like a long whip, and it could make a sharp whistle in the air with a casual flick. When Fengyun who roared, the whole arena was shaken. The pressure contained in the sound made many cultivators present take a few steps back involuntarily. Even a purple mansion 9th level cultivator like Li Zuanji couldn't help but show a look of horror. Sun King Iron stood beside Fengyun who with a faint smile on his face, and continued, "Brotherly, my Fengyun who is a descendant of the divine beast white tiger, and is born with the ability to control the power of wind and thunder. It has now reached the late stage of Purple Mansion, and its strength is not inferior to mine. The number of monsters that died under its claws is countless, and its reputation is well known." Sun King Iron said proudly, "Brotherly, as long as you can defeat this Fengyun who, I will count you as the winner." After hearing this, Li Zuanji's face became extremely ugly. Although he was a cultivator of the 9th level of the Purple Mansion, his chances of winning against a descendant of a late Purple Mansion beast were slim. Moreover, this Fengyun tiger had the innate ability to control the power of wind and thunder, which was simply his nemesis. The audience below the stage also talked a lot, and most people thought that Li Zuanji had no chance of winning. Li Zuanji was silent for a long time, and finally sighed and said, "Brother Sun is indeed worthy of his reputation. Even his spirit pet is so powerful. I'm ashamed of myself and admit defeat." After that, he saluted Sun King Iron with a fist, and then flew off the stage. Chapter 332 Win. Sun King Iron smiled and nodded, and also took Fengyun who off the stage. He returned to Ye Changsheng's camp in a grand manner. The doting elder who presided over the duel announced, "The second duel, Sun King Iron wins." The doting elder announced loudly, "This life and death duel, 2 out of 3, Liu Ruhei's side wins." This result made the opponent Qiu Daoming hated so much that his teeth itched. He glared at Liu Ruhei, his eyes full of resentment. Liu Ruhei stepped forward and said with a smile, "Qiu Daoming, 2 wins in 3 games. Are you convinced?" Qiu Daoming snorted coldly and said sarcastically, "You are just relying on the power of your brother-in-law Ye Changsheng, which is not a skill at all. If it is a fair competition, how can you be my opponent?" Liu Ruhei laughed loudly and retorted, "You can find 3 powerful cultivators to participate in the competition. Isn't it relying on the power of your ancestors? What is there to say? Things have come to this point. You can't afford to play. QIU." Daoming was choked by these words and couldn't speak, and his face became even uglier. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I admit defeat. From now on, I will never harass Beirulan again. Liu." Ruhei nodded and said seriously, "I hope you remember your oath. If I know that you harass Ruelan again, don't blame me for being rude. QIU." Daoming looked at Liu Ruhei hatefully and finally left the competition venue unwillingly. At this time, Liu Ruhei turned around to look for Beirulan, who was watching, but found that she was about to leave and ignored his call. Ye Changsheng saw this scene and his face darkened. He strode forward and blocked Beirulan's way and said in a deep voice, "Miss Bei, you agreed to my brother-in-law to participate in the life and death duel. Now he has won. You won't say that you don't like him. If you don't like him or QIU Daoming, then you shouldn't agree to hold this life and death duel, Bei." Ruelan was a little flustered by Ye Changsheng's sudden questioning and didn't know how to answer for a while. At this time, Sun King Gan also came over and echoed, "Yes, Miss Bei, you are not playing tricks on us, are you? If you really want to play tricks on us, we will definitely find a way to make you regret it." Facing the questioning of 2 powerful men like the 5 heroes of Purple Mansion, Beirulan's face became uncertain. She forced herself to calm down and defended, I just feel a little unwell, not that I don't want to pay attention to Ruhei." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng's eyes flashed with a gleam of light. He pressed, "In that case, how about we set the date for your wedding today? And there are so many people here to witness it today. Isn't that great, Bei?" Ruelan's face turned pale instantly. When she heard this, she lowered her head and pondered for a long time, and finally, as if she had made up her mind, she blurted out 2 words, "Okay." Ye Changsheng smiled with satisfaction and announced loudly, "Okay, then please be a witness. Half a month later, it will be a good day, and my brother-in-law Liu Ruhei and Miss Beirulan will hold their wedding. Please come and bless the couple." The crowd heard the news and cheered, but, "Congratulations to Mr. Liu. Bless Miss Bei." The voices came one after another. When Liu Ruelan heard the news, a look of surprise appeared on his face. He walked quickly to Beirulan and asked softly, "Ruelan, are you really willing, Bei?" Ruelan forced a smile and nodded. Seeing this scene, Ye Changsheng and Sun King Gan smiled at each other and both felt that this matter finally had a happy ending. Just when everyone was immersed in joy, someone suddenly shouted loudly, "Where is Mr. Liu going to hold the wedding? Do you need our help to prepare, Liu?" Ruhei was speechless for a moment. He had not had time to consider these details. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng immediately took over the conversation. "The wedding will naturally be held in my Ye family. At that time, I will definitely invite you to come and join in the celebration. As for the preparations, you don't have to worry about it." After hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. Some people began to discuss what gifts to prepare, while others speculated on how the Ye family would decorate the wedding scene. The entire arena suddenly turned into a sea of joy. In this hustle and bustle, Beirulan's face became paler and paler. She lowered her head, not knowing what she was thinking. Liu Ruhei noticed her abnormality and was about to ask, but was pulled aside by Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng whispered to Liu Ruhei, "Brother-in-law, things are going well, but in the next half month, you must take good care of Ruelan and don't let her have any more accidents." Liu Ruhei nodded solemnly, "I understand. Thank you for your help, Changsheng." Ye Changsheng patted Liu Ruhei on the shoulder and smiled, "We are a family, no need to thank you. Well, you go to accompany Ruelan. I will arrange the wedding." In this way, with the blessings of everyone, this storm caused by the life and death battle finally came to a perfect end. However, no one noticed that in the corner of the crowd, a pair of eyes full of resentment were staring at Beirulan and Liu Ruhei. This storm may not be over yet. Half a month passed in a blink of an eye, and the garden in the Ye family cave was decorated with lights and colors. A scene of joy. Today is the wedding day of Liu Ruhei and Bei Ruolan, and guests coming to the wedding are endless. Most of them were friends Liu Ruhei had made over the years, and some were monks who came here because they wanted to see Ye Changsheng. In addition, the core members of the Golden Light Society under Ye Changsheng were also present. The whole garden was bustling with hundreds of guests. The auspicious day finally arrived. In the presence of everyone, Liu Ruhei and Bei Ruolan walked hand in hand on the red carpet. Bei Ruolan wore a fiery red wedding dress and a phoenix crown. Although her face was slightly pale, she still couldn't hide her beauty. Liu Ruhei wore a blue robe, looking heroic and full of joy in his eyes. The two came to the high platform in the center of the garden and began the ceremony of worship under the guidance of the master of ceremonies. First, worship to heaven and earth. Liu Ruhei and Bei Ruolan bowed deeply. Second, worship to parents. The two turned around and saluted Ye Changsheng and Liu Ruan, husband and wife worship each other. The Nulaiwats stood opposite each other and bowed their heads slowly. With 3 crisp gongs and drums, the Nulaiwats finally officially became husband and wife. The guests in the audience applauded and congratulated, and cheers rose and fell. Next came the toasting session. Liu Ruhei and Bei Ruolan walked hand in hand towards the guests, holding their glasses. They first toasted Ye Changsheng and Liu Ruan, thanking them for their help. Then they toasted other guests one by one, and the scene was lively and warm. Although Bei Ruolan looked a little tired, she still forced a smile and tried her best to complete the ceremony. When the toasting session was coming to an end, Ye Changsheng stood up and walked towards the Nulaiwats. Chapter 333 Elite Rogue Cultivator. He held 4 exquisite jade boxes in his hands, with a gentle smile on his face. To Nulaiwats, this is the wedding gift I prepared for you. I hope you like it. Bei Ruolan took the jade box and opened it carefully. There were 12 crystal clear fruits inside, exuding a faint spiritual aura. Ye Changsheng introduced, here are 3 3rd level top grade CIU fruits, which can quickly recover from injuries. 3 3rd level top grade Xian fruits, which can increase the speed of cultivation. 3 wood 5 element fruits and 3 fire 5 element fruits, which are air cultivation resources. I hope these spiritual fruits can help you break through the realm as soon as possible. After hearing this, Bei Ruolan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, and she thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, Mr. Ye, for such a generous gift. Ruolan is very grateful. Liu Ruhei also hurriedly expressed his gratitude, and his heart was full of respect for Ye Changsheng. As night fell, the wedding finally came to an end. The guests left one after another, and the garden gradually became quiet. Ye Changsheng was about to go back to his room to rest, but was stopped by Liu Ruan. Changsheng, I personally prepared some wine and food in the kitchen. Do you want to try it? Liu Ruan invited with a smile. Ye Changsheng readily agreed and followed Liu Ruan to a secluded courtyard. There was a small table in the courtyard, which was filled with exquisite dishes and fine wine. The two sat opposite each other and drank. After 3 rounds of wine, Liu Ruan said seriously, Changsheng, I really want to thank you this time. If it weren't for your help, my brother and Ruolan would probably have difficulty getting together. Ye Changsheng smiled and waved his hand. You and I are husband and wife. Isn't helping your brother helping your own people? This little thing is nothing. Hearing this, Liu Ruan's eyes flashed with tenderness, and she said softly, being able to marry you is really the luckiest thing in my life. Ye Changsheng reached out and held Liu Ruan's hand and said softly, it is my blessing to marry you. The two smiled at each other and drank together under the moonlight. The figures of the couple gradually overlapped, as if they were a match made in heaven. The next morning, Ye Changsheng got up early, had a simple breakfast and hurried out. He went straight to the Xianji Pavilion of Jingguan Fortress, with a plan in mind. Xianji Pavilion is located in the prosperous area of Jingguan Fortress. It is an ancient and elegant 3-story pavilion. Ye Changsheng pushed the door open and entered, and a scent of agarwood hit his face. He walked straight to the counter and smiled at the shopkeeper. I want a list. Ye Changsheng said straight to the point. The casual cultivators in Jingguan Fortress are in the middle stage of Zifu, have good perseverance in cultivating immortals, and have super strong comprehension. They are very likely to advance to the Dao court. The shopkeeper's eyes flashed with a gleam of light, and he smiled and said, "Mr. Ye has a good eye. I wonder how many people's list you need, Ye." Changsheng thought for a while and replied, "About 100 people. The more detailed the better, including their background information." The shopkeeper nodded in response, and then ordered his men to prepare. Ye Changsheng was waiting in the lobby, with a lot of thoughts in his mind. After Liu Ruhei's incident, he deeply realized that he needed some real confidants, not the mutually beneficial members of the Golden Light Society. If he hadn't maintained a good relationship with the 4 heroes of Zifu before, he really didn't know who to ask for help. 2 hours later, a green-clothed servant came to Ye Changsheng with a sandalwood box. The shopkeeper personally opened the box, took out a stack of jade slips, and handed it to Ye Changsheng respectfully. "Mr. Ye, here is a list of 100 monks who meet your requirements, including their detailed background information." The shopkeeper introduced, "Because the information is extremely detailed, the price is slightly higher, and it requires 5 million spirit stones." Ye Changsheng took out 500,000 medium-grade spirit stones without hesitation, and paid happily. Seeing this, the shopkeeper's eyes flashed with surprise, and then respectfully handed the jade slip to Ye Changsheng. After getting the list, Ye Changsheng immediately returned home. He locked himself in the study and studied the list carefully. Each jade slip contains detailed information about a cultivator, from his background to his cultivation talent to his personality traits. Ye Changsheng checked them one by one, frowning and nodding from time to time. He kept recording from time to time and marked some particularly outstanding cultivators. This process lasted for a whole day, during which he did not even have time to eat, and devoted himself to the screening work. When night fell, Ye Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief and put down the jade slip in his hand. After repeated comparisons and weighings, he finally selected 5 cultivators who were most worthy of being won over. These 5 people are not only talented, but also upright, and have a strong desire to make progress. The most important thing is that they are all the most promising cultivators, and it is easy for them to advance to the Dao court. It's just that they are all in big trouble now. If they are not careful, it is not impossible to fall on the front line of this fierce battle. Ye Changsheng recorded the information of these 5 people in detail and formulated a plan to win over each of them. He believed that, as long as they were given the right opportunities and resources, these people would surely become his right-hand men. Ye Changsheng stood in front of a simple cave, took a deep breath, and straightened his clothes. This was the residence of Ma Ziyuan, the first of the 5 monks he carefully selected. He knocked gently on the door of the cave. After a while, a pale man opened the door. He looked a little weak, but his eyes were still sharp. "Excuse me, are you Daoist fellow Ma Ziyuan?" Ye Changsheng smiled and asked, "I'm Ye Changsheng. I have heard of your name for a long time, so I came to visit you." Ma Ziyuan heard this, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He obviously didn't expect someone to come to visit, and he didn't expect that the visitor would be Ye Changsheng. Who in the Jinggang fortress doesn't know the name of Ye Changsheng? It turns out to be Mr. Ye. "I'm sorry, Ma." Ziyuan hurriedly saluted. "Please come in. Please come in." The 2 entered the cave, and Ma Ziyuan led Ye Changsheng to the reception room. The interior of the cave was simply decorated, but neat and orderly, showing the owner's cultivation. After both parties sat down, Ye Changsheng took out an exquisite jade box from the storage bag and handed it to Ma Ziyuan. "This is my first visit, and I brought a little gift. I hope Brother Ma will not dislike it." Ye Changsheng said, and opened the jade box. In the jade box lay 3 crystal clear fruits, exuding a faint spiritual aura. Ma Ziyuan recognized it as a rare lingang fruit at a glance. This is too expensive." Ma Ziyuan was a little surprised. "Mr. Ye, this lingang fruit is very beneficial to the early and middle stage purple mansion cultivators. How can I accept it?" Ye Changsheng waved his hand and smiled. "Brother Ma, you don't have to be polite. It is common for us cultivators to give each other spiritual objects. Besides, I have heard of Brother Ma's name for a long time, and today I see that we are even more compatible. This small gift is not a respect." Ma Ziyuan hesitated for a moment, but finally accepted the lingang fruit and thanked him repeatedly. Chapter 334 Ma Ziyuan Ye Changsheng looked at Ma Ziyuan carefully and noticed that his face was pale and his breath was unstable. So he asked with concern, "Brother Ma, you don't seem to be looking well, but the injury you suffered on the battlefield hasn't healed yet, Ma." Ziyuan sighed and smiled bitterly. "Young Master Yi has good eyesight. It is true. On the battlefield a few days ago, I encountered a horse bear monster from the late Zifu period. Although I finally killed it, I also suffered minor internal injuries." Hearing this, Ye Changsheng frowned slightly. Such a serious injury requires good medical care. Why does it seem like Brother Ma didn't get enough rest, Ma? Ziyuan shook his head helplessly. "The Golden Light Fortress official only gave me a 3-month holiday. Now that the time has come, although I argued hard, the official attitude is tough and unwilling to be accommodating." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng had a worried look on his face. "What should we do? If we go into battle with injuries and encounter the big demon in the later stage of Zifu, wouldn't it be a disaster, Ma?" Ziyuan smiled bitterly and said, "That's right. I'm also very worried, but the official regulations are like this, so I can't do anything about it." Seeing Ma Ziyuan's frown, Ye Changsheng was secretly happy. Knowing that the time had come, he took out 2 more jade boxes from his storage bag and handed them to Ma Ziyuan solemnly. "Brother Ma, here are 3 3rd-grade high-grade healing fruits and 3 3rd-grade middle-grade spiritual healing pills. Use these 2 elixirs together, and they should be able to cure your internal injuries within 2 months, Ma." Ziyuan was overjoyed when he heard this, but then he looked embarrassed. "I appreciate Mr. Yi's kindness, but even with these miraculous medicines, I don't have time to nurse my injuries back." Seeing this, Ye Changsheng knew that the time was ripe, so he said straight to the point, "To be honest, Brother Ma, I have heard of your name for a long time and have always wanted to get acquainted with you. Now I have opened a pill shop in the city. I'm busy with work and have no time to spare. I'm thinking of hiring some capable guards. I wonder if Brother Ma is interested." Ma Ziyuan was stunned when he heard this and then showed a thoughtful look. Ye Changsheng continued, "If Brother Ma agrees, I can use my status jade token to exchange for you the privilege of not being able to go to the battlefield. In this way, you will have enough time to recuperate your body and improve your cultivation." As he spoke, Ye Changsheng took out another crystal clear elixir and handed it to Ma Ziyuan. "This is a top-grade Taoist elixir, which is rare to see in the outside world. If Brother Ma becomes my guard, I will give him 3 million yuan every year. In addition, every time you perform a mission, I will calculate the contribution points for you. When the contribution points reach 10,000, I will give you a high-grade doting pill as a reward." After listening to Ye Changsheng's proposal, Ma Ziyuan's eyes flashed with surprise and hesitation. He thought for a moment, then finally looked up at Ye Changsheng and said solemnly, "Master Yi's proposal is indeed exciting. It's just, I need to think about it." Ye Changsheng smiled and nodded. "This is natural. Brother Ma, don't worry, you can think about it carefully. I will stay in the Golden Light Fortress for a few more days. If Brother Ma figures it out, you can come to me at any time." After saying that, Ye Changsheng stood up and left. Before leaving, he left the 2 jade boxes containing the elixirs to Ma Ziyuan and told him, "No matter what Brother Ma decides, please accept these elixirs. They are all my thoughts, Ma." Ziyuan gratefully took the jade box and sent Ye Changsheng to the entrance of the cave. Looking at Ye Changsheng's leaving back, Ma Ziyuan was thoughtful and had already begun to weigh this tempting proposal in his heart. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng was preparing to continue practicing spells when he suddenly heard the sound of brisk footsteps. "Brother Changsheng, Su Yurao's voice came from outside the door. "Are you there?" Ye Changsheng shook his head helplessly and opened the door. I saw Su Yurao wearing a lavender dress with bright eyes and white teeth and a smile as bright as a flower. "Brother Changsheng, there is a big auction at Shengdao Auction House today. Can you accompany me?" Su Yurao blinked her big eyes and said coquettishly. Ye Changsheng wanted to refuse, but when he saw Su Yurao's expectant eyes, his heart softened and he nodded in agreement. "Okay, I'll go with you." Su Yurao was overjoyed when she heard this. took Ye Changsheng's hand, and walked out. When the two arrived at the Shengdao auction house, they found that there was already a long queue at the door. It was crowded, and there was an endless stream of people. Yurao, why are there so many people today? Ye Changsheng asked in surprise. Su Yurao explained with a smile. Today is the once a month big auction of Shengdao auction house. Usually, there is one auction every 3 days. During the big auction, many rare treasures will appear, so it is particularly lively. Ye Changsheng suddenly understood and followed Su Yurao into the auction house. The interior of the auction house is magnificent and luxuriously decorated. Ye Changsheng and Su Yurao arrived at the reserved private room and looked down at the hall through the crystal barrier. They saw a sea of people below, estimated to be no less than 10,000 people. At this moment, Su Yurao's eyes suddenly lit up. She pointed at several figures in the hall and said, "Brother Changsheng, I see my good sisters. I'll call them up." After saying that, Su Yurao hurried out of the private room. After a while, she came back with 3 young women. "Brother Changsheng, let me introduce to you. These are my good sisters in the Zuanayan sect." Su Yurao smiled and said, "This is Chen Yushan, Zhang Xiaoshang and Huang Zuwei." The 3 women saluted Ye Changsheng, and Ye Changsheng politely returned the salute. "Huh? Where are the other 5 people?" Su Yurao suddenly asked. "Aren't you two always inseparable?" When the 3 women heard this, sadness suddenly appeared on their faces. Chen Yushan sighed and whispered, "They all died in the battle. Now there are only 3 of us left." After hearing this, Su Yurao's face suddenly changed, and tears filled her eyes. Zhang Xiaoshang patted Su Yurao on the shoulder, and said with a forced smile, "Yurao, we are all happy for you, that you can escape the suffering on the front line. At least you are safe." Huang Zuwei also nodded in agreement. "Yes, we all envy you. You are really lucky to meet such a noble person as Mr. Ye." Su Yurao listened to the sisters' words with mixed feelings in her heart. She felt lucky and sad for the sisters who had passed away. When Ye Changsheng saw this scene, his heart moved. He took out 3 exquisite jade boxes from his storage bag and handed them to the 3 women. "You 3 girls, this is a small greeting gift. I hope you don't dislike it," Ye Changsheng said with a smile. The 3 women were a little surprised and took the jade box hesitantly. When they opened it and took a look, they immediately exclaimed, "This the spirit palace fruit." Chen Yushan said in disbelief. Ye Changsheng nodded. "Yes, there are 2 spiritual palace fruits in each jade box. This fruit is of great benefit to the monks in the early and middle stages of Zifu. I hope it can be helpful to you." When the 3 girls heard this, they were surprised and happy, and thanked them repeatedly. Although they declined a few words, they finally happily accepted this precious gift. Chapter 335 Two-Headed Blowloan. Su Yurao looked at this scene and felt even more grateful to Ye Changsheng. She quietly held Ye Changsheng's hand and whispered in his ear, "Thank you, Brother Changsheng." Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and squeezed Su Yurao's hand gently to express comfort. At this moment, the auction bell rang, and everyone's attention was drawn to the auction stage. A wonderful auction is about to begin. The previous auctions were for 2nd level treasures. After about 2 hours, the 2nd level treasures finally passed. The auction finally entered the stage of 3rd level items. Ye Changsheng, Su Yurao and others were refreshed and began to pay serious attention to the auction items. When the auction progressed to the 3rd level mid-grade level, Su Yurao's eyes lit up. The treasure she had been waiting for was finally about to appear. The host cleared his throat and announced loudly, "Next to be auctioned is the 9 refinement phoenix pill, a 3rd level middle grade pill. For monks who practice yin and yang techniques, this is a treasure to improve their cultivation. Every time there are 10 bottles. The bidding for the first bottle starts now. The bidding price is not less than 50,000 spirit stones." Su Yurao was about to raise her sign to bid, but was gently stopped by Ye Changsheng. He smiled and said to Su Yurao, "Let me do it." Immediately, Ye Changsheng quoted the price of 600,000 spirit stones. At this moment, a pleasant voice sounded. 650,000 spirit stones. Everyone looked around and saw a charming female editor in a pink dress looking at the auction table with a smile. Her beauty stunned the entire audience, and many male monks couldn't help but take a few more glances when Chen Yushan saw this woman. She immediately frowned and whispered to Suyurao, "Isn't this that bitch Zhao Yufei? She also came to participate in the bidding. I heard that she recently got involved with a second generation ancestor who has a lot of spiritual stones." I feel angry when I think about how she took advantage of the palace master's power in the sect and took advantage of us after speaking. She glanced at Ye Changsheng meaningfully. Ye Changsheng's face darkened after hearing these words. He didn't expect that Suyurao would be bullied like this in the sect. Thinking of this, he decided to get this bottle of elixir, no matter what. At this time, the bidding price for Jiu Lian Fengluan Dan has soared to 1 million spirit stones. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate to increase the price to 1.2 million spirit stones. This move immediately attracted the attention of the audience. Especially Zhao Yufei. She glared hard at the private room where Ye Changsheng was, with a trace of anger flashing in her eyes. Unexpectedly, her little move was caught by everyone in the private room. Seeing this, Suyurao and others became more determined to get this bottle of elixir. Zhao Yufei gritted her teeth and quoted 1.3 million spiritual stones not to be outdone. Ye Changsheng directly raised the price to 1.6 million spirit stones. At this time, Chen Yushan couldn't help but sarcastically said, "Zhao Yufei, didn't you recently become a second generation ancestor? If you don't have the spirit stone, just ask him for it. Suyurao's husband has increased the price. Why are you staring blankly?" When Zhao Yufei heard this, her face suddenly turned ugly. She sneered and said, "It turns out it's you bitches. Okay, I won't buy this bottle. I'll have plenty of opportunities to make you look good in the future." After saying that, she sat down angrily, her face gloomy. In the end, after fierce bidding, Ye Changsheng won the first bottle of 9 refining Fengluan pill at a high price of 2 million spirit stones. Immediately afterwards, the second and third bottles of 9 refining Fengluan pills were also auctioned one after another. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate and pocketed them one by one for more than 2 million spirit stones, leaving no chance for Zhao Yufei. Seeing Ye Changsheng taking pictures of 3 bottles of elixirs in a row, Zhao Yufei was so angry that her face was livid and she frequently looked towards the door as if waiting for someone to arrive. In the private room, Suyurao and her little sisters were ecstatic, dancing and celebrating. Suyurao hugged Ye Changsheng's arm excitedly, with tears of gratitude in her eyes. "Brother Changsheng. Thank you." Ye Changsheng touched her head tenderly and said, "Silly girl, as long as you are happy. However, I'm very curious, why is that Zhao Yufei so hostile to you?" Zhang Xiaoshang sighed and explained, "Zhao Yufei is the palace master's direct disciple and has been relying on this relationship to be domineering in the sect. We are often targeted by her because of our outstanding talents. Especially Yurao, because of the palace master's harassment. Appreciation has become a thorn in her side." Huang Zuwei continued, "Yes, she has been a stumbling block for Yurao. If Yurao hadn't been so gifted, she would have ruined her reputation long ago." After hearing this, Ye Changsheng felt a chill flash in his eyes. He whispered to Suyurao, "Don't worry, as long as I'm here, no one will bully you again." At this moment, there was a sudden commotion outside the auction house. Everyone looked around and saw an imposing young man striding in. Zhao Yufei immediately greeted him and held his arm. Chen Yushan whispered, "That is the second generation ancestor that Zhao Yufei climbed up to. I heard that he is the son of a certain big family." Ye Changsheng narrowed his eyes and looked at the man and woman thoughtfully. He had a premonition that there might be a good show in the next auction. Half an hour passed in the blink of an eye, and the auction entered the third level of high quality products. For everyone in Ye Changsheng's private room, treasures of this level are undoubtedly extremely precious. Various rare treasures were presented one after another, and Ye Changsheng and others also took action and took pictures of several long cherished treasures. Just when everyone thought the auction was about to end, the host's voice sounded again. "Dear guests, please pay attention. There are still 3 final treasures of the 3rd level top grade. The first one presented to you now is an extremely rare 3rd level top grade monster, the two-headed blue phoenix." As the host's voice fell, an elegant bat with a deep blue body and 2 heads was pushed onto the auction table. Its appearance immediately caused an uproar in the audience. The host continued to introduce, "This 2-headed blue phoenix is close to the legendary mythical beast Luan bird. It is not only powerful in combat, but also extremely beautiful. It presents an amazing blue color throughout its body, which can be called a work of art among monsters. I believe that everyone present can feel its extraordinariness. The 4 female cultivators in Ye Changsheng's private room were immediately attracted by this two-headed blue phoenix. Especially Suyurao. She stared at the blue phoenix on the auction table without blinking, with a strong desire in her eyes. The starting price is 5 million spirit stones, and each increase in price must not be less than 100,000 spirit stones. Start bidding now. The host's voice sounded again. As soon as the words fell, the whole auction hall was in an uproar. Monks from all walks of life raised their placards to bid, and the price soared like a rocket. 5.5 million, 6 million, 6.5 million, 7 million. In just a few breaths, the price broke through the 7 million mark. Chapter 336, Happy Palace. But the interest in bidding has not diminished at all, and prices continue to rise. 7.5 million, 8 million, 2 million. Seeing that the price was about to exceed 8.5 million, Ye Changsheng finally spoke. 9 million. His voice was not loud, but it spread clearly throughout the auction house. Suddenly, everyone's eyes were focused on the private room where Ye Changsheng was. The 4 female cultivators in the private room all looked surprised when they heard that Ye Changsheng was participating in the bidding. They all knew that Ye Changsheng's move was undoubtedly for Suyurao. Suyurao's cheeks turned red with excitement, and her gratitude to Ye Changsheng surged in her heart. However, at this moment, an angry voice sounded. 2 million. Everyone looked around and saw Zhao Yufei staring hatefully at Ye Changsheng's private room. She obviously recognized Ye Changsheng's voice and was filled with jealousy. She lowered her head and whispered a few words to the man beside her. The man nodded, and Zhao Yufei suddenly showed a proud smile. When Ye Changsheng saw this, a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. 10 million. Zhao Yufei gritted her teeth. 1,200,000. Ye Changsheng said calmly. 12 million. Zhao Yufei took a deep breath and suppressed her anger. 13 million. Ye Changsheng smiled calmly. 15 million. Zhao Yufei's face turned pale, and she took a deep breath again. 17 million. Ye Changsheng said without hesitation. 20 million. As soon as the price came out, the entire auction house suddenly became quiet. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Zhao Yufei's response. Zhao Yufei turned to look at the man beside her, hoping that he could support her again. However, the man shook his head slightly, signaling not to continue. Zhao Yufei's face instantly turned pale, and she lowered her head unwillingly. She knew that she lost. 20 million once, 20 million twice, 20 million 3 times. Deal. Congratulations to this distinguished guest for successfully bidding on the double-headed blue luan. The host's excited voice echoed throughout the audience. Suyurao was so excited that she almost jumped up, and her 3 good sisters also congratulated her. Ye Changsheng looked at the excited Suyurao with a smile, his heart full of warmth. Soon after, when Suyurao finally got her wish and returned to the private room holding the two-headed lan luan, tears of happiness shone in her eyes. She looked at Ye Changsheng affectionately and said softly, "Thank you, husband. I will definitely cherish it." Ye Changsheng smiled softly and stroked Lan Luan's feathers. "As long as you like it." Seeing the happy scene in front of them, Chen Yushin and others looked at each other and smiled, feeling sincerely happy for Suyurao. As the double-headed blue luan was successfully photographed, Suyurao and others returned to the private room excitedly. They were chattering around this rare spiritual beast and couldn't put it down. "Yurao, you are so lucky," Chen Yushin said with a smile. "This is a rare double-headed blue luan." "Yes, thanks to my husband, Su." Yurao looked at Ye Changsheng happily, her eyes full of gratitude. Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. "As long as you like it." Time flies and the auction continues. Soon, the level of the auction items had been upgraded to the 4th level. 4th level low grade, medium grade, and even high grade treasures appeared one after another, and each item aroused heated discussions among the monks present. However, Suyurao and others' attention was still focused on the two-headed blue luan, and they were not interested in other auction items. It wasn't until the host announced that the 3 final lots would be auctioned, that they turned their attention to the auction table again. The next thing to be auctioned is a 4th level top magic weapon, the Palace of Joy. The host's voice was full of passion. This is an extremely rare palace-shaped large-scale magic weapon, and its core is a top-level 4th level yin yang stone. Following the host's introduction, a gorgeous miniature palace slowly rose up. Suspended above the auction table. The palace is entirely in black and white, which blend together perfectly to form a beautiful Teikai pattern. Every detail of the palace is carefully crafted, and crystal clear wind chimes hang on the eaves, swaying gently in the wind, making a sweet sound. The palace is surrounded by a faint halo, sometimes turning into yin and yang fish swimming, sometimes transforming into various strange runes. The whole palace exudes a mysterious and alluring atmosphere, which makes people want to find out. This happy palace is not only gorgeous in appearance, but also equipped with various mysterious formations and magic weapons. The host continued, it is not only a powerful defensive magic weapon, but also an excellent place to practice yin and yang dao. I believe that the yin and yang dao monks present will not miss this rare treasure. Hearing this, Chen Yushin suddenly took Su Yurao's hand excitedly. Yurao, look. Isn't this the happy palace that our Zuanine sect palace master only has? I didn't expect to see it here. When Su Yurao heard this, she couldn't help showing a surprised expression. Really? I have never seen the palace master's happy palace before. Chen Yushin nodded and continued to explain. I heard that practicing our Zuanine sect skills in this happy palace will have twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, it can also be used as a mobile palace, providing a safe and comfortable place for the owner anytime, anywhere. Cultivation environment. It's more than that. Chen Yushin lowered her voice and said mysteriously, it is said that there are many unknown secrets hidden in this happy palace. It is rumored that the interior of the palace is a world of its own, and the space is much larger than it looks from the outside. The most important thing is, Chen Yushin's eyes flashed with excitement. The happy palace can change its form at any time according to the owner's wishes. Whether it turns into a gorgeous palace or a piece of exquisite jewelry, it can perfectly hide its true identity. This is simply the most ideal magic weapon for us female cultivators. After listening to Chen Yushin's introduction, Su Yurao's eyes lit up and murmured to herself, if I can practice in this happy palace, how wonderful it would be. Ye Changsheng noticed Su Yurao's reaction and asked softly, do you like it? Su Yurao nodded heavily, her eyes full of desire. Ye Changsheng gently stroked Su Yurao's hair and said softly, okay, let your husband take the bid for you. At this moment, the host announced the starting price. The starting price of Happy Palace is 30 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 1 million spirit stones. Bidding begins now. As soon as the words fell, the auction hall immediately boiled. More than a dozen cultivators with powerful auras raised their cards and competed to bid 31 million, 33 million, 35 million. The price rose rapidly and soon broke through the 40 million mark. Ye Changsheng quietly observed the situation, waiting for the right time to make a move. When the price climbed to 56 million, he finally spoke. 60 million. Chapter 337 300 million. As soon as this price came out, it immediately attracted the attention of the whole audience. Many people looked in the direction of the voice, wanting to see who was so generous. However, the competition did not stop. Because of this, a middle-aged man in gorgeous clothes sneered. 62 million. Ye Changsheng remained calm. 65 million. The middle-aged man frowned, slightly displeased. 70 million. My friend, I advise you that this happy palace is not something you can get involved in. Ye Changsheng heard this, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. 75 million. What do you mean by this? The middle-aged man snorted coldly. I'm Zhao Xianyang, the elder of Xianyang sect. This happy palace is very important to my sect. If you know what's good for you, please leave quickly, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Before he finished speaking, another voice interrupted. 80 million. Elder Zhao, you are too domineering, aren't you? This is an auction. The highest bidder wins. How can you threaten people like this? The Speaker was a female cultivator in green clothes, with a cold temperament and a sword-like gaze. Zhao Xianyang's face darkened. Fairy Lin, are you going to be an enemy of my Xianyang sect? The green-clothed female cultivator sneered. I want to see what ability your Xianyang sect has to be so arrogant in public. Seeing the situation tense, Ye Changsheng was not moved at all. He said calmly, 90 million. When this price came out, the whole audience was in an uproar again. Even Zhao Xianyang and the green-clothed female cultivator were stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect that someone would dare to continue to raise the price. Zhao Xianyang gritted his teeth. 100 million. The green-clothed female cultivator took a deep breath. 110 million. Ye Changsheng remained calm. 150 million. The price has far exceeded the affordability of most people, and fewer people are bidding. In the end, only Ye Changsheng, Zhao Xianyang and the green-clothed female cultivator were left in a fierce competition. Zhao Xianyang's forehead was already sweating, and he gritted his teeth and said, 200 million. The green-clothed female cultivator was silent for a moment, and finally shook her head, and chose to withdraw. Just when everyone thought the dust had settled, Ye Changsheng spoke again. 300 million. When this sky-high price came out, the entire auction hall was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Zhao Xianyang's response. Zhao Xianyang's face was livid, and a trace of struggle flashed in his eyes. Finally, he slapped the armrest of the chair hard, and gritted his teeth and said, forget it. I, Xianyang sect, admit defeat. Seeing this, the host immediately announced, 300 million once, 300 million twice, 300 million 3 times. Deal. Congratulations to this distinguished guest for successfully bidding for the Happy Palace. As the deal fell, the entire auction hall erupted in warm applause and discussion. Everyone was full of curiosity about this mysterious buyer, who was so generous. Suyurao was so excited that she covered her mouth with both hands, and tears flashed in her eyes. She turned to look at Ye Changsheng, her voice trembling. Husband, you really, Ye Changsheng smiled gently and gently wiped away the tears from Suyurao's eyes. I said, as long as you like it, Chen Yushin and others were also stunned. They never thought that Ye Changsheng actually bought this priceless treasure for Suyurao. When Ye Changsheng paid the spirit stones and took back the Happy Palace, Suyurao, Chen Yushin, Zhang Xiaoshang and Huang Zuwei were all stunned by the luxury, exquisiteness, and beauty of this magic weapon. Looking closely at the Happy Palace, every detail of it is breathtaking. The outer wall of the palace is made up of countless tiny black and white jades, shining in the sun. Each piece of jade has been carefully polished and perfectly fit together to form a smooth take-eye pattern. The roof of the palace is composed of several layers of superimposed glazed tiles. Each tile is shining with colorful light, as if the rainbow in the sky has fallen into the mortal world. The gate of the palace is carved from a whole piece of crystal. It is as transparent as a mirror, but you can vaguely see the spiritual energy flowing in it. The door frame is inlaid with various gems, forming a complex rune pattern, emitting a mysterious light. The stone lions on both sides of the door are lifelike, as if they will come alive at any time, to protect the palace. Walking into the palace, it is even more dazzling. The floor is paved with fine white jade, smooth as a mirror, but not without warmth. There are exquisite landscape paintings on the walls. With the flow of spiritual power, the scenes in the paintings seem to come alive, with clouds rolling and water flowing. A huge crystal chandelier hangs on the ceiling, which is made up of countless tiny crystal beads and series. It rotates slowly under the action of spiritual power, reflecting colorful light. Every corner of the palace is filled with exquisite vases and antiques, all of which are priceless treasures. The most eye-catching is a huge yin and yang fish pond in the center of the palace. Half of the pool water is clear and the other half is as black as ink. The two water qualities are distinct, but harmonious in the pool. There are spirit fish of various shapes, some are white and some are as black as ink, chasing and playing with each other, forming a dynamic take-eye diagram. Chen Yushin, Zhang Xiaoshang and Huang Zuwei looked at this extremely luxurious palace with envy beyond words. Their eyes flashed with amazement and yearning, and they exclaimed from time to time. Chen Yushin couldn't help but stroke the wall of the palace, feeling the spiritual power flowing in it, and exclaimed, "This happy palace is really worthy of its reputation. The concentration of spiritual power alone is hundreds of times stronger than the practice room of our sect. Yurao, you are so lucky." Zhang Xiaoxiang squatted down, carefully observed the patterns on the floor, and exclaimed, "The material of this floor should be the legendary ice jade, right? It is said that it can only be formed in the 10,000-year glaciers in the far north. I'm afraid that the entire cultivation world I can't find another piece of ice jade this big." Huang Zuwei was attracted by the yin and yang fish pond. She squatted by the pond and looked at the spiritual fish swimming in the pond. Her eyes were full of envy. Each of these spiritual fish is probably worth a lot of money. If you can practice in this pond and understand yin and yang this way, I'm afraid you'll get twice the result with half the effort. The three ladies praised the various wonderful features of the happy palace with each other. They looked at Su Yurao with envy and sincere blessings in their eyes at this time. Chen Yushan suddenly turned to Ye Changsheng, with a strange light flashing in her eyes. "Master Ye, you are so kind to Yurao. If I can have such a husband, I will have no regrets in this life." Upon hearing this, Zhang Xiaoxiang and Huang Zuwei also turned their eyes to Ye Changsheng, their eyes full of admiration. Zhang Xiaoxiang bit her lip lightly and mustered up the courage to say, "Master Ye, I'm willing to be Yurao's maid. I just want to stay by your side." Huang Zuwei was even bolder. She took a step forward and said softly, "Master Ye, I'm willing to give up my cultivation and only be your concubine. As long as I can stay with you, everything is worth it." The three women's confession made Su Yurao a little panicked. She subconsciously grabbed Ye Changsheng's arm. A trace of uneasiness flashed in her eyes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 The 10 Friends Association restarts. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng gently patted the back of Su Yurao's hand to calm her down. Then, he turned to the three girls, smiling, and said in a gentle but firm tone, "I appreciate the kindness of the three girls. However, I, Ye Changsheng, had promised many wives that I will never take concubines here again. I will never let them down. Please don't make things difficult for me." Hearing Ye Changsheng's answer, the three girls were a little disappointed, but a trace of admiration flashed in their eyes. They knew that it was because Ye Changsheng kept his promise and loved everyone that Su Yurao was so happy. Su Yurao felt a warm current in her heart. When she heard Ye Changsheng's words, she looked at Ye Changsheng with love in her eyes. Then, Su Yurao turned to her three good sisters and said with a smile, "Yushan, Xiaoxiang, Zuwei, don't be sad. Although my husband can only be mine, I'm willing to share this happy palace with you. If you want to practice in the future, you can come to Ye Mansion at any time. We are sisters with deep affection, so we should share treasures together." Hearing Su Yurao's words, the three women's eyes rekindled the light of hope. Chen Yushan excitedly held Su Yurao's hand. "Yurao, you are so kind. I know you will not forget us sisters." Zhang Xiaoxiang and Huang Zuwei also nodded repeatedly, their gratitude overflowing. Su Yurao smiled and added, "However, this invitation is limited to us sisters. Other male cultivators don't have to come, so as not to make my husband jealous." When these words came out, everyone was stunned at first, and then burst into cheerful laughter. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but smile, looking at Su Yurao with a doting look in his eyes. Amidst the laughter and joy, everyone visited the happy palace again. This magical palace is not only a powerful magic weapon, but also a bond that maintains their friendship. The relationship between Ye Changsheng and Su Yurao also became deeper at this moment. After bidding for the happy palace, several people left the Holy Dao auction house with the treasures back to the Ye Mansion. Su Yurao took the three sisters to her yard, opened the happy palace, and several women practiced and played in it. Ye Changsheng continued to practice the spell Wan Mu Huchin. The next morning, when Ye Changsheng was practicing in the yard, a servant hurried over and respectfully handed over an invitation. Ye Changsheng took it and saw that it was an invitation from Grandmaster Zhang Zichen, who agreed to continue to hold the 10 friends meeting in his house in 3 days. After reading the invitation, Ye Changsheng smiled slightly. I haven't participated in this 10 friends meeting for a long time, but I didn't expect Zhang Zichen to still remember me. He secretly calculated in his heart, what treasure should I bring this time? After thinking for a moment, Ye Changsheng's mind moved and came to the fairy tree space. In this magical space, there are all kinds of rare treasures. He walked to a corner and took out the precious enlightenment god fruit. Ye Changsheng carefully used a secret method to remove the fruit core and then dripped a drop of 4th level fairy dew. In an instant, a strong spiritual energy spread. After a while, a lush enlightenment god fruit tree rose from the ground, with luxuriant branches and leaves, and hung a full 12 crystal clear enlightenment god fruits on it. Ye Changsheng carefully picked the fruits one by one, and packed them in a jade box. This enlightenment god fruit can help cultivators to understand the Tao, and improve their cultivation. It is definitely a treasure that makes people salivate. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. Early in the morning of this day, Ye Changsheng dressed up carefully, took the jade box containing the enlightenment god fruit, and rode on the flying sword to Zhang Zichen's Chuaiden pavilion. When he arrived at the door, Ye Changsheng handed the invitation to the doorman. When the servant saw Ye Changsheng's name, he immediately showed great respect and led him into the garden. 5 cultivators had already arrived in the garden. They were Lin Xianyu from Taixu sect, Jiang Zuan from Zuanyuan sect, Su Xianji from Xianji pavilion, Mo Zuanbao from Zuanbao tower, and Mirang Xuan from Hanbing island. When everyone saw Ye Changsheng coming, their eyes lit up immediately. Lin Xianyu said with a smile, "Brother Ye, I haven't seen you for several years, but you are still as charming as ever." Jiang Zuan also echoed, "Yes, the trade fair that Brother Yi attended last time was very exciting and made us reminisce for a long time." So, Xianji joked, "If Brother Yi never comes, we want to change the name of this exchange fair to U0027. 9 friends meeting U0027. Ye Changsheng hurriedly apologized. "Fellow Taoists, please forgive me. My cultivation is shallow, and I have been entangled with many mundane affairs in recent years. But it is a great honor to be able to attend the grand event today." Hearing this, Zhang Zichen smiled and waved his hand. "Young friend, Yi is too polite. It's good that you can come. We are all looking forward to the treasures you bring." Ye Changsheng smiled mysteriously. "Senior Zhang, don't worry, I did bring a good spiritual medicine this time. I believe everyone will like it." As soon as this was said, everyone immediately became interested and asked what the treasure was. Ye Changsheng smiled but said nothing, just said that we will know later soon. Zhao Lihuo, Li Zuanji and Shen Qinggan also arrived. The 10 Taoist friends finally gathered together, and Zhang Zichen said with satisfaction, "It's rare that everyone can come to the appointment, which is really gratifying. Since Yu Xiaoya will not come for a few years, why not ask him to take the lead? Let's see what surprises he can bring to everyone." Everyone agreed, and their eyes were all cast on Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, slowly stood up, and walked to the center of the crowd. He gently patted the jade box in his hand and said mysteriously, "Fellow Taoists, please take a good look." After that, he slowly opened the jade box. Suddenly, a strong spiritual energy came over, shocking everyone present. 6 crystal clear fruits were neatly placed in the box, each emitting a faint golden light, and the spiritual energy was compelling. Ye Changsheng slowly introduced, "Fellow Taoists, this is the 4th level top grade spiritual fruit, Washan fruit. Its effect is similar to Wu Dao tea, and both are treasures that assist cultivators in enlightenment. However, the effect of Washan fruit is much stronger than Wu Dao tea. Taking a Washan fruit can allow a cultivator to enter the state of enlightenment for up to 3 months. This kind of spiritual fruit is extremely precious and is almost impossible to find on the market." As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the cultivators present suddenly lit up, and they all showed expressions of surprise and desire. Lin Xianyu praised, "Brother Yi really lived up to his reputation. He was able to get such a rare spiritual fruit. This enlightenment fruit is indeed an excellent auxiliary for cultivation." Jiang Zuan also nodded in agreement. "Yes, if you can take this enlightenment fruit, it is equivalent to gaining 3 months of enlightenment time in one retreat." For cultivators like us, it is undoubtedly a great help. Everyone spoke one after another, praising the enlightenment fruit. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and said, if you are interested, you might as well take out your own treasures to exchange. I have 6 enlightenment fruits here, enough for everyone to exchange. As soon as these words came out, everyone was immediately excited and began to think about what treasures they brought that could be comparable to the enlightenment fruit. Chapter 339, Huanglian Dream Fruit. Zhao Liho was the first to stand up. He took out an exquisite jade box from his storage bag and said solemnly, Brother Ye, I have a 4th level high grade elixir substitute grass here. I wonder if I can exchange it for a divine enlightenment fruit. When Ye Changsheng heard this, he immediately became interested. Oh, substitute grass? This is a rare thing. I wonder what its usefulness is. Zhao Liho explained, this substitute grass has endless uses. As long as there is a wisp of the opponent's breath, and it is inserted into the substitute grass, you can find that person, based on the induction of the substitute grass. No matter where the other party is hiding, they cannot escape tracking. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up. He thought to himself that the function of this substitute grass was indeed unique. If it was used to track enemies or find missing friends, it would definitely come in handy. So, Ye Changsheng nodded and said, okay, I'm very interested in this substitute grass. I will exchange it with you for a god enlightenment fruit. The 2 parties completed the transaction happily, and other monks saw this, and were eager to give it a try. At this time, Mirren Shuang stood up. She took out a crystal clear jade box from her sleeve and said softly, fellow Daoist Ye, I have a 4th level high grade Cheyenne fruit here. Can I exchange it for a divine enlightenment fruit? Ye Changsheng asked curiously, Cheyenne fruit? What is this? Mirren Shuang smiled and explained, Cheyenne fruit is a magical spiritual fruit. Taking it can relieve women's aging for 800 years. No, monks in the foundation stage can extend their lifespan by 300 years, in the Zifu stage by 1200 years, and in the Dao court stage by 3000 years. If a female cultivator in the Zifu stage takes a Cheyenne fruit, she can maintain her life almost until she dies. Youthful appearance. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng couldn't help but his eyes lit up. He thought about the women around him. Although they were good at cultivation, who could guarantee that they would all be able to break through to the Taoist stage or even ascend? Xian Yanji Yuo is undoubtedly an excellent guarantee. So, Ye Changsheng nodded happily and said, okay, I'm very interested in this Cheyenne fruit. I will exchange it with you for one of the enlightenment fruits. Mirren Shuang was overjoyed when she heard this, and the 2 parties quickly completed the deal. Just when everyone thought the deal was over, Shen Qingyan suddenly stood up. With a solemn look on his face, he took out a simple jade box from his storage bag and said solemnly, fellow Daoist Ye, I would like to exchange this spirit fruit for 3 of your enlightenment fruits. As soon as this statement came out, the whole place was in an uproar. Everyone was speculating what kind of treasure could be exchanged for 3 precious god enlightenment fruits. Ye Changsheng couldn't help but become curious and asked, fellow Daoist Shen, I wonder what kind of treasure this is, and you actually have to exchange it for 3 enlightenment fruits. Shen Qingyan slowly opened the jade box and saw a crystal clear fruit with a faint halo lying inside. He solemnly said, this is the 4th level top quality spiritual fruit, called Huanglian Yemenguo. Taking this fruit, monks can enter a long dream. In a dream, according to the existing conditions, you can experience a period that lasts for thousands of years. After waking up from the dream, you can not only greatly improve your Taoist mind, but also gain all the insights and experiences in the dream, which is of great benefit to the monk's practice. After listening to Shen Qingyan's introduction, everyone present took a deep breath. The effect of Huanglian Yimengji Yuo is simply unparalleled. Ye Changsheng was also deeply shocked. He thought that if he could experience 1000 years of life in a dream, it would be of great help to his cultivation and improvement of his state of mind. And the experience is unmatched by any other method. After thinking again and again, Ye Changsheng nodded solemnly and said, okay, fellow Daoist Shen, I'm very interested in this Huanglian Yimen fruit. I will exchange it with you for 3 enlightenment fruits, Shen. King Iron was overjoyed when he heard this, and the two parties quickly completed the deal. At this point, 5 of Ye Changsheng's 6 divine enlightenment fruits have been exchanged, leaving only the last one. Seeing this, the other monks began to have heated discussions, vying to take out their own treasures in exchange for the last fruit of enlightenment. Zhang Zichen stood up and took out a 4th grade high grade yin yang grass from the storage bag. He smiled and said, "Fellow Daoist Ye, this is a 4th level top grade yin yang grass. For Zifu monks who practice yin yang Dao, this is a must have to advance to the Taoist stage. Without this grass, you want to break through. It's almost impossible." When Ye Changsheng heard this, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He knew that this yin yang grass was indeed useful to him, but it was still far inferior to the value of the enlightenment fruit. However, thinking that his wife Suyurao was practicing yin yang Dao, he still nodded. "Okay, I will exchange the last fruit of enlightenment with you, Zhang." Zichen's face showed joy. He also knew that he had taken advantage, so he smiled and said, "Thank you, Xiao Ye, for taking care of me." Ye Changsheng waved his hand and said half jokingly, "No way, who told me to have a wife who practices yin and yang Tao?" As soon as this was said, everyone burst into laughter, and the atmosphere suddenly became much more relaxed. After the transaction was completed, it was Zhang Zichen's turn to show off his treasure. He first took out a 4th grade high grade purple sungrass and introduced, "This is purple sungrass. For monks who practice yang attribute skills, it is a coveted elixir." As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Zuanbao from Zuanbao Tower couldn't hold himself back and said hurriedly, "Fellow Daoist Zhang, I wonder how I can exchange this purple sungrass." Zhang Zichen smiled and said, "If fellow Daoist Mo is interested, you might as well take out something of equivalent value and take a look." Mo Zuanbao thought for a moment, took out a 4th grade high grade spirit gathering bead from his storage bag, and said, "This spirit gathering bead can help monks speed up the recovery of spiritual power. I wonder if fellow Daoist Zhang is satisfied with it." Zhang Zichen nodded and said, "Okay, deal." The two quickly completed the deal. Other cultivators could not help but feel envious when they saw this. Then Zhang Zichen took out another 4th grade top grade thunder fruit and said, "This thunder fruit is very beneficial for Dao court cultivators to practice thunder attribute magical powers. I wonder if any of you Taoist friends are interested." This time, Jiang Zuan of Zuaniuan sect stood up and said, "Dao Zhang, I'm practicing a thunder attribute magical power. I wonder if I can exchange this 4th grade top grade Zuanbing pearl." Zhang Zichen carefully looked at the Zuanbing pearl and nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, it's settled." The two completed the transaction again. Everyone watched Zhang Zichen successfully trade twice in a row and couldn't help but secretly praise his shrewdness. Just when everyone thought that Zhang Zichen's treasures had been displayed, he suddenly took out a 5th grade middle grade blood soul grass. This move immediately caused a sensation in the audience. "Oh my god, this is a 5th level spiritual medicine." This is the first time that a 5th level spiritual medicine has appeared at the 10 friends meeting. This blood soul grass is the key material for refining the soul clone. It is priceless. Everyone was talking about it, their eyes full of amazement. Even Ye Changsheng, who had been watching coldly, couldn't help but take a few more glances. Although he couldn't use this level of spiritual medicine now, he also knew how precious it was. Chapter 345 Level Spiritual Medicine. Zhang Zichen looked around and said calmly, "This blood soul grass is a 5th level middle grade elixir. If you are interested, you may wish to exchange it for something of equal value." However, unexpectedly, the scene fell into silence for a while. Although the monks present were all 4th level Taoist powerhouses, it was obvious that not many had 5th level elixirs. Even if they had it, they were not willing to exchange it for this blood soul grass easily. The atmosphere gradually became a little awkward. At this moment, Shen King Iron, who had been silent, stood up. He took out a spiritual medicine that also exuded a faint halo from his storage bag and said, "Fellow Daoist Zhang, I have a 5th level mid-grade phantom flower here. Can I exchange it with your blood soul grass?" As Soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes were focused on Changsheng Iron Point. The phantom flower is an important material for refining illusions, and is also very precious. The moment Zhang Zichen saw the phantom flower, his expression changed several times. He seemed to be engaged in a fierce inner struggle. Finally, he took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, I agree to the exchange. The two quickly completed the deal. The other monks looked at this scene and couldn't help but look at each other. Everyone realizes that there may be an unknown story behind these two seemingly ordinary transactions. Someone whispered, it seems that fellow Daoist Shen and fellow Daoist Zhang are not simple. Yes, what they brought out were all 5th level elixirs, and they exchanged them so happily. There must be something hidden. It seems that the story between these two is very deep. I don't know what the connection is between them. Ye Changsheng observed all this silently, with a strong interest in his heart. He thought to himself, it seems that everyone in this 10 friendship club has their own secret. You should pay more attention to it in the future. Maybe you can get some useful information from it. Next, it was Changsheng Iron's turn to show off his treasure. He stood up, glanced around indifferently, and said with a slight smile, fellow Taoists, just now Taoist friend Zhang took out the 5th level elixir, which inspired me a lot. I also have a treasure that I want to share with you. After saying that, he took out a spiritual fruit that exuded gleaming light from his storage bag. The spiritual fruit is surrounded by a faint halo, as if it is alive. This is a 5th level mid-grade holy spirit fruit. It can cure the soul damage of 5th level beings. It is a rare treasure for monks who practice the soul path. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was shocked again. Another 5th level elixir. This 10 friends meeting is really an eye-opener. The holy spirit fruit is a legendary treasure. I didn't expect to see it today. Everyone was talking, their eyes filled with wonder and longing. Zhang Zichen looked at the holy spirit fruit. A trace of fire flashed in his eyes, but it quickly dimmed again. He smiled bitterly and said, friend Daoist Shen, you are making things difficult for us. Although I like this thing, I'm afraid I don't have a suitable treasure in my hands to exchange for it. The other monks also looked embarrassed, obviously unable to produce treasures equivalent to the holy spirit fruit. Just when the atmosphere was a little awkward, Mireng Shuang, who had always kept a low profile, stood up. She was wearing a simple and elegant green dress, and her face was cold, giving people an otherworldly feeling. She said softly, fellow Daoist Shen, I have a 5th grade low grade psychic grass here. Legend has it that it was a rare elixir used to worship the immortals in the upper world in ancient times. Haven't your Shen family been collecting traces of various rare elixirs? I must be interested in this psychic grass. After that, she took out a crystal clear spiritual grass from her sleeve. There was a faint fairy spirit lingering on the spiritual grass, making it look particularly mysterious. When Changsheng Iron saw the psychic grass, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he smiled happily. Fellow Daoist Mireng has indeed kept it secret. Our Shen family has indeed been looking for this psychic grass. If we can get it, the family elders will be extremely happy. I'm willing to exchange it with you for the holy spirit fruit. Mireng Shuang nodded slightly. Thank you very much, fellow Daoist Shen. The two successfully completed the transaction. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but look at Mireng Shuang with admiration. I didn't expect fellow Taoist Mireng to have such a treasure. It seems that she has always been very low-key and unfathomable. Today was really an eye-opener. Ye Changsheng observed silently from the side, thinking to himself, Mireng Shuang looks ordinary, but in fact he is very hidden. Next, other monks stepped forward to show off their treasures. Li Zuanji took out a 4th grade high grade fire Ganoderma lucidum, which could enhance the power of fire attribute skills. Jiang Zuan took out a thunder spirit fruit, which aroused the interest of many monks. Everyone was coming and going, and the transaction was going on enthusiastically. As time goes by, the transaction will gradually come to an end. Everyone was satisfied with the harvest and had smiles on their faces. The night is getting darker and the bright moon is in the sky. Everyone was still unsatisfied, but they also knew it was time to say goodbye. They said goodbye to each other and agreed to meet again next time. Half a month passed quietly. On this day, Ye Changsheng was sitting quietly in the courtyard of the Golden Light Fortress, Feeling the fluctuations of the spiritual energy around him point suddenly, an attendant came to report, Master Ye, there is a fellow Taoist named Ma Ziyuan outside who wants to see you. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and thought to himself, it seems that he has finally figured it out. He stood up and ordered, invite him in. After a while, Ma Ziyuan walked into the courtyard. His face was still a little pale, but there was a hint of determination in his eyes. Master Ye, excuse me, you're welcome fellow Daoist Ma, please sit down. Ye Changsheng personally poured him a cup of spiritual tea. The fragrance of the tea was refreshing. Ma Ziyuan took the teacup and said nervously, after considering for this period of time, I have made a decision. I'm willing to accept Mr. Ye's proposal. Ye Changsheng nodded, with a relieved smile on his face. Brother Ma's decision really makes me very happy. The cooperation between us will definitely be mutually beneficial, but I don't know what Mr. Ye's requirements for the employment period are. Ma Ziyuan asked tentatively. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and said frankly, I hope to sign a Taoist oath contract for at least 200 years. I wonder what Brother Ma thinks. Hearing this number, Ma Ziyuan frowned slightly, obviously hesitant. 200 years is indeed a bit long. However, since it is Mr. Ye's sincerity, I can't refuse it. Brother Ma, don't worry, I will definitely not treat you unfairly within 200 years. In addition to the salary and rewards mentioned earlier, I will also provide additional cultivation resources to help you improve your cultivation. Ye Changsheng said sincerely. Ma Ziyuan pondered for a moment and finally nodded and said, okay, in this case, I'm willing to sign the contract. The two then took out the Daoshi jade slip and engraved their own spiritual marks on it. As the contract was reached, an invisible force connected the two together. Chapter 341 Ma Ziyuan surrenders. From now on, Brother Ma will be my right-hand man. Ye Changsheng smiled. Master Ye, please give me your advice in the future. Ma Ziyuan raised his hands and said, by the way, how many years of service does Brother Ma have left? Ye Changsheng suddenly asked. Ma Ziyuan sighed and replied, there are still 26 years. According to regulations, monks in the middle stage of the Zifu need to serve for 30 years. I have spent 4 years on the battlefield. Ye Changsheng nodded, understanding in his heart, no wonder Brother Ma agreed to be my bodyguard. It is really not easy to survive 30 years on this dangerous battlefield. He stood up and said, Brother Ma, please come with me to the merit exchange office. I will exchange for you the privileges that you cannot go to the battlefield. A hint of surprise flashed in Ma Ziyuan's eyes. Thank you so much, boss. The two of them came to the merit exchange office of Golden Light Fortress together. People come and go here, and many monks are exchanging their military exploits for various items. Ye Changsheng walked to the counter, took out his merit token, and said to the deacon, I want to exchange for him the privilege of not going to the battlefield for 5 years. The deacon checked the token and said respectfully, okay, Mr. Ye, please wait a moment. After a while, the formalities were completed. Ma Ziyuan said gratefully, my boss's great kindness will be deeply remembered by Ma. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and said with a smile, Brother Ma, there is no need to be polite. This is also to give you enough time to heal your injuries and improve your cultivation. The two walked out of the exchange office, and the afterglow of the setting sun shone on them, casting long shadows. Brother Ma, you should take a good rest during this period. After the injury recovers, I will arrange specific tasks for you. Ye Changsheng said, yes, boss. Ma Ziyuan replied respectfully. Hearing the title boss, Ye Changsheng smiled. Don't be so formal, we will be our own people from now on. Ma Ziyuan also showed a rare smile. Okay, then I'll leave first. After watching Ma Ziyuan leave, Ye Changsheng stood there, looking at the sky in the distance, thinking about his next plan. With the addition of Ma Ziyuan, my strength has been strengthened. Next, I need to find a few more capable people. He turned and returned to the courtyard. The light of the setting sun gradually dissipated, and night was about to fall. Ye Changsheng sent Ma Ziyuan away, and watched his back disappear at the end of the courtyard, with a satisfied smile on his face. He gently stroked the teacup in his hand, thinking about his next plan. Next step. It's time to meet Ye Changsheng, he said to himself. Ye Changsheng, a cultivator in the middle stage of Zifu, is extremely talented, but he has recently fallen into a life and death crisis. It is said that in a battle half a year ago, he was poisoned by the poisonous gas of a 4th level 9-tailed snake, and he has not recovered yet. Ye Changsheng stood up, straightened his clothes, and then came to the spiritual pill pavilion. This is the largest shop selling elixirs and elixirs in the Golden Light Fortress, and it has a good reputation. Ye Changsheng entered the store. He stopped in front of the counter and said to the store owner, "I need a 3 Holy Spirit pill." The shop owner frowned slightly when he heard this. "Master Ye, the 3 Holy Spirit pills are 4th level pills and are extremely precious. We do have them in stock in the store, but the price." Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, took out a bag full of spirit stones from the storage bag, and placed it on the counter. "These should be enough, right?" The shopkeeper opened the bag and looked at it. A smile immediately appeared on his face. "That's enough. That's enough. Please wait a moment. I'm going to get the elixir." After a while, the shopkeeper came back with an exquisite jade box and handed it to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng took the jade box and carefully checked the elixir inside. After confirming that it was correct, he put it away. Then he took out an exquisite jade box and carefully put the 3 Holy Spirit pills into it. He walked out of the Lingdon Treasure Pavilion and walked towards Ye Changsheng's cave. Inside the Golden Light Fortress, there was an endless stream of pedestrians and monks of all kinds shuttled among them. Ye Changsheng nodded slightly along the way and greeted the monks he knew well. Not long after, he arrived outside Ye Changsheng's cave. Outside the cave, surrounded by green pines and bamboos, it looks quiet and solemn. Ye Changsheng took out a communication paper talisman, injected it with real energy, flicked it, and the paper talisman turned into a ray of light and flew into the cave. After a while, the door of the cave opened slowly, and a young man with a thin body and a sallow face came out. When he saw that it was Ye Changsheng, he forced out a smile and said, "It turns out to be Mr. Ye. He's here to welcome you, but I'm not expecting you from afar, brother. You're too polite. I apologize for disturbing you." Ye Changsheng responded with a smile, "Master Ye, please come in." The two entered the cave. The interior furnishings were simple, but well organized. Ye Changsheng invited Ye Changsheng to take a seat, while he sat opposite, looking slightly tired. "Brother are you feeling better recently?" Ye Changsheng asked with concern. Ye Changsheng smiled bitterly and said, "Thanks to you, I can still hold on for the time being." Ye Changsheng nodded, took out the jade box from his arms, and pushed it in front of Ye Changsheng. "It's my first visit, so I'm going to prepare a small gift, but I hope brother he will accept it." Ye Changsheng was a little surprised. He opened the jade box and saw 3 crystal clear spirit palace fruits lying quietly inside, exuding a faint aura. This the spiritual palace fruit? A hint of surprise flashed in Ye Changsheng's eyes. "Exactly. This fruit will be of great help to the monks in the middle stage of Zifu and can improve their cultivation," Ye Changsheng said with a smile. "Young Master Ye is so generous and generous. I'm really ashamed of myself." Ye Changsheng said gratefully, "Brother you don't have to be polite. We hit it off immediately. Please give me your advice in the future." Ye Changsheng waved his hand with a sincere expression. The two exchanged pleasantries for a few words before Ye Changsheng changed the topic and asked with concern, "I heard that brother he was seriously injured on the battlefield half a year ago. How is the situation?" Mentioning this matter, Ye Changsheng looked sad. "It's true. At that time, we were fighting fiercely with a demon tribe and unexpectedly encountered a 4th level 9-tailed poisonous snake. It suddenly spewed out poisonous gas, and the comrades who were close to it turned into a pool of blood on the spot. Although I avoided it in time, the poisonous gas invaded my body. In the past 6 months, I have consumed a lot of elixirs and can barely stay alive." Ye Changsheng frowned slightly, thought for a moment, and said, "Brother his holiday is coming soon, right?" "Yes, in 1 month, we will go back to the battlefield again." Ye Xian'ai sighed. In my current state, I'm afraid it will be difficult to support myself, brother. Have you ever considered not going to the battlefield? Of course I have thought about it, but not going to the battlefield requires a lot of merit. The ones I accumulated have already been used to purchase healing elixirs. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, took out a jade box from his sleeve, and placed it gently on the table. What's this? Xian'ai asked doubtfully. 3 holy spirit pills can completely eliminate the poison of the nine-tailed snake. Ye Changsheng said. When Xian'ai heard this, a glimmer of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Chapter 342. Xian'ai 3 holy spirit pills. That's a 4th level pill. Priceless. Young Master Yi, actually, brother. Don't be surprised. Ye Changsheng smiled. I came here today just to lend you a hand. Young Master Yi is so kind. Xian'ai has nothing to repay. Xian'ai said excitedly. Actually, I have a suggestion. I wonder if brother he is willing to consider it. Ye Changsheng said sincerely. Please, speak. Xian'ai took a deep breath and calmed down. I hope to hire brother he as my bodyguard. During this period, I will provide you with the cultivation resources you need, and an annual salary of 3 million spirit stones. In addition, I will use my merits to exchange for the privilege of not being on the battlefield for you, so that you don't have to worry about the future. You will be allocated contribution points for each mission. As long as the contribution points reach 10,000, you can exchange deoting pills from me. As he said, Ye Changsheng took out another deoting pill and showed it to Xian'ai. After hearing Ye Changsheng's conditions, Xian'ai's eyes flashed with hesitation. Does this guard have a time limit? Ye Changsheng said frankly. At least a 200-year contract must be signed. Ye Changsheng said. Xian'ai was silent for a moment, with a lot of thoughts in his mind. Although the 200-year term is long, it is a very cost-effective deal compared to his life and future. Why did Mr. Yi choose me? He asked puzzledly. Brother, he has an outstanding talent. If he can survive this disaster, his future achievements will be limitless. I hope we can cooperate and make progress together. Ye Changsheng answered frankly. Xian'ai looked at the 3 holy spirit pills on the table again, and he had a plan in mind. He stood up and bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng. Mr. Yi's great kindness and virtue, I will remember it in my heart. I'm willing to accept your proposal and become your guard. Ye Changsheng hurriedly helped him up and smiled. Brother He, there is no need to be polite. We will be partners in the future. The two then took out the Taoist oath jade slip and engraved their respective spiritual marks on it. As the contract was concluded, an invisible force connected the two together. In this way, brother He's poison problem is solved. Ye Changsheng pushed the jade bottle in front of Xian'ai. Thank you, Mr. Yi. Xian'ai was grateful and immediately opened the jade bottle and took the 3 holy spirit pills. A moment later, the true energy in his body began to circulate rapidly, and his face gradually became ruddy. The poison that had been entangled with him for half a year seemed to be completely eliminated in an instant. It's really a magical pill. Xian'ai exclaimed. How does brother He feel? Ye Changsheng asked with concern. Unprecedented ease, as if reborn. Xian'ai said excitedly. That's good. Ye Changsheng nodded. Next, we will go to the merit exchange office to apply for your privilege of not going to the battlefield. Okay, everything will be arranged by Mr. Yi. Xian'ai readily agreed. The two came to the merit exchange office of the Golden Light Fortress together. There were crowds of people here, and the monks were busy exchanging the required items and privileges. Ye Changsheng skillfully submitted the application, using his merits to exchange for the privilege of not going to the battlefield for 5 years for Xian'ai. This way, brother He will have enough time to recover and improve his cultivation. Ye Changsheng said. Mr. Yi always thinks of me, and I have nothing to repay you for. Xian'ai said gratefully. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, took out a jade slip from the storage bag, and handed it to Xian'ai. These are some cultivation experiences I sorted out. Maybe they will help brother He. Xian'ai took the jade slip and was very grateful. Mr. Ye has such trust. I will never let you down. Okay, brother He, go back and recuperate first. I still have some things to deal with. Come to me again after your injury is healed. Ye Changsheng said. Okay, Mr. Ye, take care. He Xian'ai said respectfully. Watching Ye Changsheng leave, Xian'ai clenched the jade slip in his hand, his heart full of hope. He secretly vowed to practice hard and live up to Ye Changsheng's expectations. Ye Changsheng sat in the quiet room, forming seals with his hands, and the spiritual power in his body surged like a river. He was practicing the Wanmu rejuvenation spell that had recently made a breakthrough, feeling the nourishment of the wood attributed spiritual power in his body, and was quite happy. Just then, there was a slight sound of footsteps outside the door. He raised his eyebrows slightly, and only a very few people could get close to him without disturbing him when he was practicing. Changsheng, King Lion Hong's voice sounded outside the door. With a hint of hesitation, Ye Changsheng finished his practice, stood up, pushed the door open, and saw King Lion Hong standing at the door with a complicated look. Lion Hong, what's wrong? He asked gently. Among his many wives, King Lion Hong has always been the most independent and rarely takes the initiative to come to him unless there is something important. King Lion Hong looked up at him, and a hint of tenderness flashed in her eyes. Changsheng, my niece King Ruiyu is here. She is now staying at the inn in the city. I would like to invite you to go with me to meet her. Oh, Ruiyu is here. Ye Changsheng showed a happy look. This is good news. I have long wanted to meet your family, King Lion Hong nodded slightly, with a smile on her face. She has been traveling all the way. I'm worried that she will not be used to living in the inn. Then, let's go and pick her up. Ye Changsheng said cheerfully, then turned his head to look at the two children playing in the garden in the distance. Shenglan, Shengtao, come here. Ye Shenglan and Ye Shengtao heard their father's call and ran over immediately. Father, what's the matter? We are going to meet your cousin. Do you want to come with us? Ye Changsheng asked with a smile. Cousin? Ye Shenglan's eyes lit up. Of course I do. Let's go then. Let's go together. Ye Changsheng patted the heads of the two children, his eyes full of love. The group of people left Ye Mansion and walked towards the inn in the city. Although the Golden Light Fortress is an important military location, there are many shops in the city and the streets are quite lively with people coming and going. Arriving at the door of the inn, King Lion Hong said to Ye Changsheng, you guys wait for me here. I'll go in and call Ruiyu. Okay. We'll wait for you outside. Ye Changsheng nodded. King Lion Hong walked into the inn and soon came out with a girl. The girl was wearing a long sundress with a slender figure, picturesque features, and a bit of shyness and curiosity in her eyes. Hello, uncle. When King Ruiyu saw Ye Changsheng, she bowed politely. Ruiyu, no need to be polite. They are all family members. Ye Changsheng smiled and helped her up, looked at this niece, and secretly admired her in his heart. She was indeed a beautiful and refined beauty. These two are your cousins, Shenglan and Shengtao. Come and meet your cousins, King Lion Hong introduced. Hello, cousin, the two children said in unison, their eyes full of novelty. Hello, King. Ruiyu smiled slightly and knelt down to look at them levelly. I heard that you are all practicing diligently and you will definitely become great monks in the future, cousin. Thank you. Chapter 343, Green as Jade. Ye Shengtao scratched his head shyly. In fact, he was embarrassed to say that he had no spiritual roots. Now that everyone has met, why don't we go to the city to have a meal together so as to greet Ruiyu and wash away the dust? Ye Changsheng suggested. King Lion Hong shook her head gently. No need, the food outside is not as good as the food at home. Why don't you go back home and I'll cook it myself? Ye Changsheng smiled and said, you have the final say. Then let's go home. Along the way, King Ruiyu chatted happily with the two children. She took out some exquisite gadgets from her storage bag, including dexterous machine birds, colorful spiritual fruits, and some low-level weapons suitable for children's cultivation. Magical weapon. These are for you. I hope you like them, King Ruiyu said softly. Thank you, cousin. Ye Shanglan and Ye Changsheng were so happy that their eyes narrowed point back at Ye Mansion. After everyone sat down, King Lionhong went to the kitchen in person. Not long after, the table was filled with delicious dishes. Ruiyu, try your aunt's craftsmanship. Ye Changsheng greeted. Thank you, uncle. I have been famous for my aunt's craftsmanship for a long time. King Ruiyu smiled, picked up a piece of food, and tasted it carefully, with a look of satisfaction in her eyes. In the dining room, everyone chatted about home affairs. Ye Changsheng asked, Ruiyu, why did you suddenly think of coming here this time? King Ruiyu pursed her lips slightly, and a trace of longing flashed in her eyes. Actually, I miss my aunt. More than 10 years have passed since the last time we were separated. Hearing this, King Lionhong's eyes suddenly turned red. Silly boy, why did you come here alone? How dangerous this road is. Auntie, I'm fine. King Ruiyu comforted. I was careful and everything went smoothly. King Lionhong became even more worried. The journey from our city to the Golden Light Fortress takes more than a few years. What if something unexpected happens along the way? As he spoke, tears flowed down unconsciously. Seeing this, King Ruiyu couldn't help but blush. Auntie, I'm sorry, I made you worry. Ye Changsheng saw that the two of them were agitated, and quickly tried to persuade them. Okay, just get here safely. We should be happy that Ruiyu can come to see us. He turned to King Ruiyu and said gently, let's take a tour of the Golden Light Fortress with you tomorrow. Although this is the front line, it is not as prosperous as the 5th level fairy city. Some rare objects are easier to find here. King Ruiyu burst into tears and smiled. Thank you, uncle. Early the next morning, the rising sun rose in the east, and the Golden Light Fortress was shrouded in a layer of pale golden light. After Ye Changsheng, King Lionhong and King Ruiyu had breakfast, they embarked on a shopping trip. On the streets, people are coming and going, various stalls and shops are dazzling, and the sounds of hawking are coming and going. King Ruiyu came to such a prosperous place for the first time, and her eyes were full of novelty and excitement. Ruiyu, there are a lot of things here that you haven't seen before. Just tell your uncle what you want to buy. Ye Changsheng said with a smile. King Ruiyu quickly shook her head. Uncle, I just took a look. No need to spend any money. King Lionhong looked at her niece dotingly. You're welcome. Your uncle is right. Just tell us what you want. As they were talking, they passed by a shop specializing in women's tailoring, dresses and jewelry. All kinds of robes are hung at the door of the shop, colorful and sparkling. Let's go in and have a look. Ye Changsheng suggested. The three of them walked into the store, which displayed a variety of exquisite female monks' robes and jewelry. Each piece was well made and had both defensive functions and beautiful appearance. King Lionhong picked up a light blue robe and handed it to King Ruiyu. Ruiyu, this one suits you very well. Give it a try. King Ruiyu took the robe and hesitated slightly. Auntie, I can't have such a valuable thing. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, it doesn't matter. Your aunt and I both hope you can be happy. After the two people's persuasion, King Ruiyu finally tried on the robe. The robe worn on her body highlighted her elegance and refinement, and other customers in the store couldn't help but take a few more glances. It's beautiful. King Lionhong said happily. Yes, Ruiyu, this robe is given to you. Ye Changsheng said. King Ruiyu nodded emotionally. Thank you, uncle, aunt. Then Ye Changsheng chose several robes and jewelry for each of them. King Ruiyu declined at first, but with King Lionhong's insistence, she still accepted. When paying the bill, the shopkeeper said respectfully, these are 3rd level top grade robes, totaling 12 million spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng didn't care and paid the spirit stone with a wave of his hand. King Ruiyu was moved and a little uneasy when she saw such a large number. After leaving the store, the three of them continued walking. King Ruiyu suddenly stopped and looked at the magic weapon shop on the side. Ruiyu, do you want to go in and have a look? King Lionhong asked. King Ruiyu nodded. I heard that there are many kinds of magic weapons here. I want to see them. Entering the store, there are all kinds of magic weapons on display, including flying swords, magic shields, and flying boats. Ye Changsheng asked, Ruiyu, what magic weapon are you using now? King Ruai replied shyly, I only have a 3rd level low grade flying sword, which was passed down from my family. After King Lionhang heard this, a trace of distress flashed in his eyes. Why are you still using such a low level magic weapon? This time I came here to give you a good one, King. Ruai waved her hand quickly. Aunt, no need, I use it very well. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly. Don't worry, the magic weapons here will be helpful to your future cultivation and safety. In the end, under Ye Changsheng's arrangement, King Ruai chose a 3rd level high grade flying sword, a highly defensive shield, and an extremely fast flying boat point. When the shop owner saw this, he said with a smile, these magic weapons are all high quality, with a total of 15 million spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng paid the spirit stone generously again. King Ruai was grateful, but also felt that she deserved it. After walking out of the shop, King Ruai whispered, Uncle, Aunt, you are so kind to me. King Lionhang held her hand gently. Silly boy, we are a family, you're welcome. Ye Changsheng patted her shoulder. Ruai, we are very happy that you can come here to see us. Besides, if you practice alone outside, you also need good equipment. King Ruai's eyes were slightly red, and she said morbidly, thank you, I will definitely practice hard and live up to your expectations. The 3 of them continued shopping for a while, and Ye Changsheng suddenly suggested, it's getting late, let's go to the Lingshan Pavilion in front to try the delicious food there. Lingshan Pavilion is the most famous restaurant in the Golden Light Fortress, specializing in dishes cooked with spirit animals and elixirs, which are not only delicious, but also beneficial to cultivation. After sitting down, Ye Changsheng ordered a few signature dishes. After the dishes arrived, King Ruai took a bite and was full of praise. Chapter 344 Reason. It's so delicious, King Lionhang smiled and said, eat more if you like it. In the Lingshan Pavilion, the food smelled delicious. The 3 of them ate and chatted, and the atmosphere was harmonious. King Ruai tasted the delicacy she had never tasted before, and her face was filled with a happy smile. Ye Changsheng and King Lionhang looked at her and felt relieved. After the meal, King Ruai seemed to have mustered up the courage and hesitated to speak. Ye Changsheng noticed her strangeness and asked gently, Ruai, do you have anything to say, King? Ruai took a deep breath and finally expressed her doubts. Aunt, uncle, actually I came this time because I heard that my aunt got married, had a child, and mailed so many spiritual stones to my family. I'm worried that my aunt has become a concubine for others, and I'm afraid that my aunt is not living well in a wealthy family, so I came from afar to see her. Hearing this, Ye Changsheng and King Lionhang smiled at each other, and then laughed out loud. King Lionhang took her niece's hand and explained softly, silly child, your uncle treats me very well. Although he has several wives, he treats them equally, and cares for each other. Here, there is no distinction between wives and concubines. We are all his wives. Ye Changsheng also said gently, Ruai, your aunt was with me because of my sincerity. Although I have many wives, I love each of them sincerely. Moreover, I have the ability to protect your aunt in the Golden Light Fortress without having to fight on the front line, and I can also let her live a good life. King Lionhang added, yes, your uncle is very capable. The pill shop he opened earns a huge amount of spirit stones every year, which is enough for us to live without worries and practice without worries. Hearing these explanations, King Ruai's hanging heart finally let go, and a relieved smile appeared on her face. That's good. I'm really happy for my aunt. Ye Changsheng looked at the time and suddenly suggested, today is the monthly auction of Shengdao Auction House. How about we go and participate, King? Lionhang's eyes lit up. Okay, I haven't participated in such a large-scale auction for a long time. The 3 of them came to Shengdao Auction House, and Ye Changsheng had already prepared a private room. When they stepped into it, King Ruai was stunned by the scene in front of her. Through the crystal wall, she saw tens of thousands of monks gathered in the hall below, and the scene was spectacular. King Ruai looked through the window and saw the wide hall below, which was full of monks, with a total of tens of thousands of people. She couldn't help but open her mouth wide and exclaimed, so many people, King Lion Hong smiled and said, the Holy Dao auction house is the largest auction house in Jingguan Fortress. It holds a large auction every month, attracting monks from all sides. Ye Changsheng poured them a cup of spiritual tea and smiled. It is said that there are many rare treasures in this auction, and we may be able to gain something. The auction began, and the auctioneer walked onto the stage and began to introduce the first item. Dear fellow Taoists, the first item is the second level 9-turn soul restoring pill, which can cure seriously injured and dying foundation building monks. The starting price is 10,000 spirit stones. The hall was filled with bidding sounds. King Ruiyu watched intently, and her heart was excited. She had never seen such a grand scene. In the end, the pill was sold at a price of 180,000 spirit stones. 2 hours later, it reached the level of the third level auction item. As time went by, the atmosphere of the auction became more and more heated. 2 hours later, it finally entered the stage of the third level auction item. The auctioneer smiled and said loudly, my fellow Taoists, the next one is a rare third level lower grade magic weapon, the Azure Dragon Sword. This sword is made of the scales of a winged azure dragon. The sword body is emerald green and extremely sharp. It can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth by itself, helping cultivators improve their combat power. The starting price is 500,000 spiritual stones, and each bid must not be less than 50,000 spiritual stones. As soon as the voice fell, a bidding sound rang out in the hall. 1 million, 1 million and a half, 2 million. The price soared all the way and soon broke through the barrier of 5 million spiritual stones. Ye Changsheng watched the bidding with interest, and King Lion Hong smiled and said, this Azure Dragon Sword is not bad, but it's a pity that I don't need it. King Ruiyu exclaimed, this magic weapon is so expensive. In the end, the Azure Dragon Sword was bought by a cultivator in a black robe at a high price of 8 million spiritual stones. Next, the auctioneer launched another third level elixir, the third level lower grade third turn golden elixir. This third level golden elixir is made from hundreds of spiritual medicines. After taking it, it can improve the initial cultivation of the purple mansion. The starting price is 800,000 spiritual stones, and each bid must not be less than 100,000 spiritual stones. As soon as these words came out, the venue was boiling again. 900,000, 1 million, I'll bid 1.5 million. The price kept rising, and finally sold for 3.5 million spiritual stones. During this period, the auction also launched several exquisite third level jewelry. Seeing the love flashing in her niece King Ruiyu's eyes, King Lion Hong did not hesitate to bid for her a pair of earrings inlaid with spiritual stones and a delicate jade pendant. King Ruiyu said gratefully, aunt, this is too expensive. I can't accept it. King Lion Hong gently stroked her hair and smiled. Silly child, we are all family, don't be polite. Ye Changsheng also smiled and said, Ruiyu, this is a little thought from your aunt, you just accept it. King Ruiyu had tears in her eyes and nodded heavily. The auction continued and finally came to the auction of the third level top quality monster. The auctioneer smiled mysteriously and said, dear fellow Taoists, the next one will be the highlight of this auction. The third level top grade monster beast. The first one to appear is the Fengyuan leopard. A flash of light passed by, and a huge Fengyuan leopard with colorful fur appeared in front of everyone. It had sharp eyes and exuded a strong demonic aura. This Fengyuan leopard is extremely fast and is good at wind and thunder spells. If you can subdue it, it will definitely become a capable assistant. The starting price is 500,000 spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 50,000 spirit stones. There was an uproar in the hall, and many cultivators showed their hot eyes. 500,000, 600,000, 800,000. The price rose rapidly. 1 million, 1 million and a half. The bidding continued to rise and soon broke through 5 million spirit stones. At this time, a VIP in the box said lightly, I bid 6 million. The whole audience was silent and everyone looked at the box. It was obviously a person from a big force. However, in the box on the other side, another cold voice came, 7 million. The auctioneer's eyes flashed with excitement, and he smiled and said, the current highest price is 7 million. Is there a higher price? The VIP was not to be outdone and said, 7.5 million, 7 and 800,000. Another person followed closely. The whole audience held their breath. The VIP was silent for a moment and finally shook his head. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345 Three-Tailed Sky Fox. 7,800,000 once. 7,800,000 twice. 7,800,000 three times. Deal. The auctioneer hammered down the deal, and the Fengyun leopard was sold at a high price of 7,800,000 spirit stones. Next, the auctioneer announced excitedly, the next lot is the blazing golden winged tiger. A fiery red light flashed, and a giant tiger with flames all over its body and golden wings on its back appeared in front of everyone. It roared, and the sound shook the whole field. This blazing golden winged tiger has both fire and gold attributes, and is powerful. The starting price is 2 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 200,000 spirit stones. The bidding started fiercely again, and it was finally sold at 15 million spirit stones. The atmosphere of the auction reached a climax point at this time. The auctioneer pretended to be mysterious and said, "Dear Taoist friends, next, the finale of this auction will appear, the three-tailed celestial fox." As he spoke, a white light flashed, and a snow white and elegant three-tailed celestial fox appeared in front of everyone. It has a pair of blue eyes like gemstones, and three white tails swaying gently, looking very agile. This three-tailed fox is said to be the descendant of the nine-tailed fox, and has powerful illusion and charm. More importantly, it is a flying monster that can fly in the air. The starting price is 5 million spirit stones, and each bid must not be less than 100,000 spirit stones. The whole audience was in an uproar, and everyone's eyes were burning. Obviously, they were very interested in this three-tailed fox. Ye Changsheng noticed a flash of love in King Lionhang's eyes, and smiled slightly. The bidding began. I'll bid 5 million. I'll bid 5.5 million. 6 million. 7 million. The price rose rapidly. At this time, a young man in a brocade robe stood up and said loudly, 10 million. The whole audience was in an uproar. King Ruai covered her mouth in surprise and whispered, 10 million spirit stones. King Lionhang frowned, seeming to be hesitant. Ye Changsheng smiled calmly and said softly, it's okay. He raised his hand and said, 15 million. The young man in brocade robe looked cold and stared at the box where Ye Changsheng was. 20 million. Ye Changsheng didn't care and continued, 30 million. The whole audience was silent, and everyone guessed the identities of the two people. The young man in brocade robe gritted his teeth and said, 50 million. King Lionhang looked at Ye Changsheng with some worry and said softly, Changsheng, this price is too high. Ye Changsheng held her hand and smiled, as long as you like it, the price is not a problem. He said calmly, 80 million. The whole audience was in an uproar. 80 million spirit stones. This is already a sky-high price. The young man in brocade robe had a livid face, and finally snorted coldly, and sat down. The auctioneer said excitedly, 80 million once. 80 million twice. 80 million three times. Deal. The hammer fell, and the three-tailed fox belonged to Ye Changsheng. King Lionhang's eyes were full of gratitude and joy, and she whispered, thank you, Changsheng. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, as long as you like it. King Ruai also said happily, Aunt, this celestial fox is so beautiful. Ye Changsheng looked at them and felt warm in his heart. After the auction ended and the spirit stones were handed over, the auctioneer arranged for someone to send the three-tailed celestial fox to the private room. King Lionhang couldn't wait to get close to the three-tailed celestial fox. The celestial fox seemed to be very close to her and gently rubbed her palm with its head. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, it seems that it likes you too. At this time, he turned to King Lionhang and said, if Ruai has a third-grade flying monster to protect her on her return trip, her safety will be greatly improved. King Lion Hong nodded and said, yes, monsters have appeared frequently recently, and the roads are not safe. Ye Changsheng looked at King Lion Hong and smiled slightly, saying, since Ruayu needs a flying monster to protect her on her return trip, why don't we bid for another third grade flying monster? King Lion Hong nodded, with approval in her eyes. This is also good, it can ensure Ruayu's safety and let her go home earlier, soon. After, the auctioneer walked onto the stage with an excited look on his face. Dear guests, the next item to be auctioned is a third grade Skyfire Golden Peng. This beast is extremely fast, can spit out Skyfire, and has extremely strong attack power. The starting price is 8 million spirit stones, and each bid increase must not be less than 500,000. The whole audience was in an uproar, and everyone was talking. Skyfire Golden Peng. There is such a rare flying monster. It seems that this auction is really a big deal. The bidding started. 10 million. A middle-aged man in purple took the lead in bidding. I'll bid 11 million. Another mysterious man in a mask followed closely. Ye Changsheng said calmly, 12 million. The purple-clothed man frowned and said, 13 million. The masked man sneered, 15,000. The atmosphere in the venue was tense, and the price kept rising. At this time, the young man in brocade robe stood up again, his eyes sharp. 18 million. Ye Changsheng looked calm and said calmly, 20 million. The purple-clothed man seemed to hesitate, and finally sighed, and sat down. The masked man snorted, 25 million. The young man in brocade robe sneered, 26 million. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly, 27 million. The whole audience was in an uproar, and everyone speculated on the identity of the bidder. The young man in brocade robe had a gloomy face, and gritted his teeth and said, 30 million. The masked man was obviously also angry, and his voice was cold, 33 million. King Lion Hong looked at Ye Changsheng with some concern and whispered, Changsheng, this price is already very high. Ye Changsheng patted her hand gently and comforted her. It's okay. He raised his hand and said, 40 million. The whole audience was silent, and everyone held their breath. The young man in brocade robe clenched his fists, veins on his forehead bulged, and finally said angrily, 41 million. The masked man seemed to be pushed to the limit, and his voice was hoarse, 4,200. Ye Changsheng looked calm and said lightly, 50 million. King Ruayu widened his eyes and whispered, 50 million spirit stones. The young man in brocade robe slammed the table and was furious. Okay, you have guts. He left the table angrily and walked straight out of the auction venue. The masked man was silent for a moment and finally sighed helplessly and gave up the bid. The auctioneer said excitedly, 50 million once, 50 million twice, 50 million 3 times. Deal. The hammer fell, and the Skyfire Golden Peng belonged to Ye Changsheng. King Lion Hong looked at Ye Changsheng, his eyes full of tenderness. Changsheng, you've spent too much money. Ye Changsheng smiled and said, as long as you are safe, everything is worth it. After delivering the spirit stones, the auctioneer arranged for someone to send the Skyfire Golden Peng to the box. King Ruayu looked at the Skyfire Golden Peng with shining golden wings and said in surprise, is this the Skyfire Golden Peng? It's so beautiful. Chapter 346, Skyfire Golden Rock. Xian Huo Jinpeng's eyes were sharp, but at Ye Changsheng's signal, he meekly lowered his head. Ye Changsheng handed the jade slip of the spirit beast's contract to King Ruayu and said warmly, Ruayu, I will give you this Skyfire Golden Rock. It will be much safer if you have it to escort you on the road. King Ruayu waved her hands quickly and said anxiously, this is too precious. I can't have it. King Lion Hong stepped forward and persuaded softly, Ruayu, this is your uncle's wish. Just accept it. And we are not at ease if you go back alone. King Ruayu still shook her head, but the price is too high. I can't accept it. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and said, safety is priceless. Besides, you are Lion Hong's niece, and you are my family. You don't have to be polite. King Lion Hong patted her shoulder and said softly, Ruayu, just accept it. This is also my aunt's wish. After some refusals, King Ruayu finally nodded with emotion her eyes slightly red. Thank you, I will definitely take good care of it. In the following days, Ye Changsheng and King Lianhong accompanied King Ruoyu on a tour of the Golden Light Fortress. They walked around the bustling streets, tasted various spiritual banquets, and watched wonderful performances of cultivating immortals. King Ruoyu said excitedly, "It's so lively here, much more prosperous than our hometown." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "The Golden Light Fortress is an important town in the world of immortality. It gathers all forces, and is naturally prosperous." King Lianhong looked at her and said gently, "But this is the front line after all, and there are many dangers." King Ruoyu nodded, with a trace of reluctance in her eyes. "Aunt, uncle, do I really want to leave?" King Lianhong sighed softly. "Yes, after you go back, we can feel more at ease." Ye Changsheng took out an exquisite jade box from his storage bag and handed it to King Ruoyu. "There are 36 spirit palace fruits here, which are enough to help you cultivate to the middle stage of Zifu." King Ruoyu looked at the jade box in shock and quickly refused. "This is too expensive. I can't have it." Ye Changsheng smiled and shook his head. "This is my intention. You don't have to refuse." He took out another golden storage bag and handed it to her. "Here are 10 million spiritual stones for your family to use. When the war is over, I will help you find a spiritual place and rebuild the King family." King Ruoyu was so moved that tears welled up in her eyes, and she choked with sobs. "Uncle, aunt, you are so good to me." King Lianhong hugged her tenderly. "Silly boy, we are all a family. You're welcome." The day of separation finally arrived. At the gate of the city, King Ruoyu rode the Skyfire Golden Puck and looked at them reluctantly. "Auntie, brother Changsheng, you must take care of yourself." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "Have a safe trip. Take care of yourself." King Lianhong waved her hand and watched her figure disappear into the sky. Looking at the retreating figure, King Lianhong sighed softly. "I hope she has a safe journey." Ye Changsheng held her hand and said softly, "Don't worry, she will arrive safely with the escort of the Skyfire Golden Rock." King Lianhong nodded and nestled on his shoulder as the sun sets. The walls of the Golden Light Fortress are dyed golden. Early the next morning, the sky of the Golden Light Fortress was dyed a layer of pale gold by the morning light. Ye Changsheng stood on the city wall, looking far away, thinking about today's itinerary. He had bid farewell to King Ruoyu, felt a little relieved, and decided to continue looking for potential monks. He heard that there was a monk named Zhu Rufeng in the city, who had outstanding talent, but was unable to break through due to some strange disease. Ye Changsheng was very interested in this, and decided to go and find out in person. Walking on the streets of Golden Light Fortress, there are many shops of various colors and an endless stream of pedestrians. The monks either wore gorgeous robes or wore strange magical weapons, showing their respective strength and identity. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and thought to himself, although this is the front line, it is also an important town in the world of immortality, with many talents. Not long after, he arrived in front of Zhu Rufeng's cave. Outside the cave, surrounded by green pines and green bamboos, it looks quiet and elegant. Ye Changsheng took out a communication paper talisman, injected it with real energy, flicked it, and the paper talisman turned into a ray of light and flew into the cave. After a while, the door of the cave opened slowly. A tall, imposing young man came out. His brows were clear and his eyes were as bright as lightning, and there was no sign of any illness at all. "You are young Master Ye, one of the 5 heroes of Z Mansion. I have admired you for a long time." Zhu Rufeng clasped his fists and saluted with a loud voice. Ye Changsheng smiled and returned the courtesy. "Exactly, I'm Ye Changsheng. I've heard of brother Zhu's name for a long time and came here to visit." Zhu Rufeng smiled heartily. "Young Master Ye, you're welcome. Please come into the cave for a chat." The two entered the cave, and after sitting down, Zhu Rufeng personally served Ye Changsheng spiritual tea. The aroma of the tea was refreshing, which made people feel refreshed. Ye Changsheng took out an exquisite jade box and handed it to Zhu Rufeng. "This is the first time we meet, so this is not a sign of respect. These are 3 spiritual palace fruits, just as a meeting gift." Seeing this, Zhu Rufeng quickly declined. "This is too expensive. Mr. Yi is such a generous gift. and I really deserve it. Ye Changsheng shook his head slightly. Brother ZHU, you don't have to be polite. I have always respected talented people. Seeing his sincerity, ZHU Rufeng stopped refusing and solemnly accepted. Then I will be disrespectful and thank you, Mr. Ye. After a brief exchange of greetings, Ye Changsheng changed the subject. I heard that brother ZHU has been in poor health recently. I wonder if it will get better. ZHU Rufeng's expression changed slightly, and he sighed. Alas, to be honest with you, Master Yi, every full moon night, my whole body feels like I'm in an ice cellar, and the cold is piercing my bones. At the beginning and end of the month, it's so hot that even lying on ice can't relieve the heat. This strange disease has troubled me for many years, and I haven't been able to break through to the late stage of the Purple Mansion until now. It's really miserable. Ye Changsheng asked with concern. Has brother ZHU ever sought treatment from a famous doctor? ZHU Rufeng smiled bitterly and said, I have consulted several third-level doctors and alchemists, but they couldn't find the cause of the disease. High-level doctors are expensive, and I, a casual cultivator, can't afford it. Ye Changsheng's eyes after a flash of thought, he said, I have a friend who is a 4th level high-grade alchemist. Perhaps he can help brother ZHU solve his doubts. I wonder if brother ZHU is willing to give it a try. ZHU Rufeng was stunned and waved his hand quickly. How can I do this? Master Yi has already given me a generous gift. How can I trouble your friend again? Ye Changsheng said sincerely. Brother ZHU, you are welcome. I respect your talent. Whether you accept my invitation or not, I'm willing to help you solve this problem that has troubled you for a long time. ZHU Rufeng was moved by his sincerity and said gratefully, in this case, thank you Master Yi. The two got up and went to Chuaiden Pavilion together. Chuaiden Pavilion is the most famous alchemy pavilion in Jingguan Fortress. The pavilion is towering into the sky and filled with the fragrance of elixir. People come and go in front of the door, all of whom are cultivators who come to ask for elixir. Chapter 347 Spiritual Subordinates. Entering the alchemy pavilion, an old man with white beard walked towards him. It was Zhang Zichen, the 4th level high-grade alchemist. When he saw Ye Changsheng, he smiled broadly. Ye Xiaoyao, why do you have time to come to my humble home today? Ye Changsheng raised his hands and saluted. Senior Zhang, excuse me. I have a friend who is ill, and I came here to ask for your diagnosis and treatment. Zhang Zichen's eyes fell on ZHU Rufeng and nodded. Since I'm Ye Xiaoyao's friend, I should do my best. Please come with me. In a quiet room in the Dan Pavilion, ZHU Rufeng sat on the jade bed, and Zhang Zichen stretched out 2 fingers and placed them on his pulse point. After a while, he closed his eyes and concentrated again, circulating his true energy, and slowly explored ZHU Rufeng's body point. After a long time, Zhang Zichen retracted his finger and frowned slightly, as if thinking about something. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng asked with concern. Senior Zhang, have you discovered anything? Zhang Zichen slowly opened his eyes with a deep look. This little friend is not sick, but contains a rare spirit body, the 9 yin and 9 yang body. 9 yin and 9 yang body. ZHU Rufeng and Ye Changsheng were surprised at the same time. Zhang Zichen nodded and explained. The 9 yin and 9 yang body is an extremely rare spirit body in the world, with the power of both extreme yin and yang. Because the spirit body has not been activated, you are suffering from the alternation of yin and yang every month. ZHU Rufeng was shocked, but a glimmer of hope arose in his heart. Senior, do you have a solution? Zhang Zichen smiled slightly. To stimulate the 9 yin and 9 yang bodies, a special elixir is needed, the 9 yin and 9 yang pills. I happen to have a 3rd level elixir recipe here. You can refine it yourself, or ask others to do it for you. Every month taking 1 pill for 20 years can fully activate the power of the spirit body. ZHU Rufeng excitedly took the prescription, and thanked him repeatedly. Thank you senior, for your advice. Ye Changsheng also said gratefully. Senior Zhang, I'm really grateful to you today. Zhang Zichen waved his hand, and said with a smile, it's all a small effort. If you need anything in the future, Xiaoyao, just come to me. After Leaving the Chuaiden pavilion, Zhu Rufeng held the elixir in his hand with a firm light shining in his eyes. He turned around and bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng. Mr. Ye, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness. If it weren't for your help, I might not be able to solve this problem in my lifetime. Ye Changsheng smiled and helped Zhu Rufeng up. Brother Zhu, you don't have to be like this. I have always liked to make friends with heroes. It is fate that we meet today. Why don't we go to the nearby Kingfeng tea house to sit for a while? I still have some things I want to discuss with Brother Zhu. During this period, Ye Changsheng was secretly pleasantly surprised. He did not expect that Zhu Rufeng actually possessed a spirit body. This was a qualification comparable to the cultivation speed of the Holy Spirit root. If he becomes his bodyguard and subdues him, 20 years later, he will have such a tough person under his command, which makes me happy just thinking about it. The two came to Kingfeng Tea House and chose a secluded private room. Amidst the aroma of tea, Ye Changsheng said straight to the point, Brother Zhu, to be honest, I'm recruiting guards. The salary is 3 million spiritual stones a year, which can be exchanged for privileges that cannot be used on the battlefield. Each mission must have contribution points, and contribution if you reach 10,000, you can exchange it with me for the Daoting Dan. However, the time limit is a little longer, and it will take 200 years. After saying that, Ye Changsheng looked at Zhu Rufeng with burning eyes. I wonder if Brother Zhu is interested. Zhu Rufeng was shocked when he heard this, and then fell into deep thought. After a long while, he raised his head and said, Master Ye's conditions are indeed attractive, but what I'm most worried about now is the 9 yin and 9 yang pills that I need to take every month to activate the spirit body. Ye Changsheng immediately interrupted, Brother Zhu, there is no need to worry, I will cover this, and it will be included in your annual salary. Zhu Rufeng was overjoyed when he heard this, and immediately raised his hands and said, in that case, Zhu is willing to work hard for Mr. Ye. Ye Changsheng was also happy, and the two immediately made an oath. As soon as the oath fell, Ye Changsheng took Zhu Rufeng to the Golden Light Fortress Command Center, and exchanged for him the privilege of not going to the battlefield for 5 years. After leaving the command center, Zhu Rufeng was secretly happy that he could finally stay away from danger for the time being. Ye Changsheng did not stop, and took Zhu Rufeng to a spiritual medicine store called Wanyaogsuan. Boss, give me 10 portions of these medicinal materials. Ye Changsheng was generous when he opened his mouth. The shop owner was surprised when he heard this, and then smiled broadly. Okay, Mr. Ye, wait a moment. After a while, 10 elixirs were neatly placed on the counter. Ye Changsheng happily paid 2 million spiritual stones and put the elixir into the storage bag. Zhu Rufeng was stunned as he watched from the side, and he admired Ye Changsheng's handiwork even more. Back at his residence, Ye Changsheng started refining the elixir without saying a word. He carefully classified and processed the 10 precious elixirs and refined them one by one according to the requirements of the elixir. During the process of refining the alchemy, he concentrated on it and did not dare to slack off at every step. However, even so, the first few batches of elixirs ended in failure. Faced with failure, Ye Changsheng was not discouraged. He repeatedly summed up his experience and adjusted his refining techniques. Finally, on the 7th try, he successfully refined a furnace of 9 yin and 9 yang pills. In the next few refinings, his success rate gradually increased. In the end, 10 elixirs were successfully refined into 4 furnaces of elixirs, and a total of 36 9 yin and 9 yang elixirs were obtained. He put these elixirs into 3 jade bottles, with 12 pills in each bottle. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng found Zhu Rufeng and handed one of the bottles to him. Brother Zhu, this is your annual dosage. Zhu Rufeng took the jade bottle and was so moved that he could hardly speak. He bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng, his voice choked with sobs. Master Ye's great kindness will be unforgettable by Zhu. From now on, Zhu is willing to go through fire and water for Master Ye, no matter what. Ye Changsheng helped Zhu Rufeng up and said with a smile, Brother Zhu said something serious. You and I will be brothers from now on. Your business is my business. Don't ever say such outspoken words in the future. Then Ye Changsheng arranged for Zhu Rufeng to practice peacefully so that he could break through the realm as soon as possible. While Ye Changsheng was studying alchemy techniques, especially focusing on the development of third level elixirs, he was also concentrating on practicing spells. 3 months passed in a hurry, and with the help of the 5-element fruit, Ye Changsheng finally practiced the 10,000 trees rejuvenation spell. To a great level. His cultivation level steadily improved, his aura became more stable, and his whole person exuded a faint brilliance. One day, after he succeeded in practicing, Ye Changsheng was in a happy mood and decided to brew a pot of enlightenment tea and quietly savor the hard-won achievements. The decoration in his retreat room is simple and elegant, and the fragrance of tea is lingering and overflowing, making people feel relaxed and happy. Just as he was picking up the teacup and savoring it carefully, there was a sudden sound of footsteps outside the door. King held the communication paper talisman, walked gently into the retreat room, and respectfully handed the paper talisman to Ye Changsheng. When Ye Changsheng saw the message, he frowned slightly, quickly put down his teacup, walked out of the retreat room, and faced King. What happened? He asked with concern. Chapter 348. Zhao Tingfang. King smiled slightly, with a trace of joy in her eyebrows. Husband, my master Zhao Tingfang is here. Please come out of the seclusion quickly to receive him. Oh, it turns out that senior Zhao has arrived. When Ye Changsheng heard this, he was immediately in awe. Zhao Tingfang was an expert in the 4th level Taoist court. He did not dare to neglect. He immediately tidied up his clothes and followed King to the living room. When I came to the living room, I saw a middle-aged man in a green robe sitting on the main seat. With an aura of majesty between his brows, he held the teacup in his hand, savoring the aroma of the tea, and showed a certain demeanor in his movements. Junior Ye Changsheng has met senior Zhao. Ye Changsheng stepped forward and saluted respectfully. Zhao Tingfang looked up at him and nodded with satisfaction. Immortal, there is no need to be polite. I have heard for a long time that you are promising at a young age. When I saw you today, you have already reached the late stage of Zifu. You have reached this level at a young age. You are indeed worthy of your reputation. Senior, I'm very grateful. Junior, I just practice harder and don't dare to slack off. Ye Changsheng said humbly, I received the gift you gave me last time. It suits me very well. However, the 4th level magic weapon is very expensive and too expensive for you. This makes me feel a little sorry. Zhao Tingfang said, Senior Zhao, don't say that. This is the filial piety that Kinga and I should fulfill. As long as you like it, it's worth it, no matter how expensive it is. Besides, although the 4th level magic weapon is a bit more expensive, I think it's still affordable with my current wealth, so don't be too worried. Ye Changsheng said, well, I still accept your relationship with Kinga. The Moonlight Treasure Mirror is indeed very important to me. If you have any difficulties in the future, just tell me. Zhao Tingfang was very satisfied with Ye Changsheng. The two chatted for a while, and the atmosphere gradually became harmonious. Zhao Tingfang turned to look at King, his eyes full of love. Kinga, you have a good sense. If you can find such a virtuous son-in-law, I will feel relieved as a teacher. A trace of blush appeared on King's face, and she said softly, Master has given you too much praise. At this time, Zhao Tingfang suddenly asked, I heard that you have 2 more children. Yes, they are playing in the backyard. I'm going to call them over. After King finished speaking, she turned around and went to the backyard. After a while, 2 lively and lovely children ran in. Seeing the strange elder, they were a little curious and a little shy. Sheng Lan, Sheng Yu, come and meet your great master, King said softly. The 2 little guys hurriedly stepped forward and saluted in a sweet voice. I've met the Grand Master. Zhao Tingfang showed a loving smile on his face, took out some crystal clear spiritual fruits and exquisite toys from the storage bag, and handed them to them. Here, this is a meeting gift for you. Thank you, Grand Master. The children cheered for joy, their eyes full of excitement and joy. Seeing the innocent looks of the children, Ye Changsheng and Mirren King were filled with happiness after the children ran out happily. Xiao Tingfang looked at Mirren King with soft eyes. Kinga, I remember that you once liked your senior sister's moon shadow light sword, and you searched all over the place to find the same spiritual material. Please ask the sect's weapon master to refining one for you, and consider it as your wedding gift. As he spoke, he took out a silver white flying sword with a faint moonlight flowing from his sleeve, and handed it to Mirren King. This is a third order high quality flying sword. Mirren King was so surprised that she took the flying sword with both hands, and felt the surging spiritual power in it. She was so excited that she could not speak. Just like it. Xiao Tingfang smiled happily. Thank you, Master. Mirren King bowed deeply, her eyes full of respect. Mirren King nodded slightly, and said with a smile, Master, thank you very much for your hard work. Ye Changsheng looked at Xiao Tingfang silently, secretly guessing the old man's intention. The two chatted for a while about interesting anecdotes about the Golden Light Fortress, and the atmosphere gradually became more relaxed. However, Xiao Tingfang's face was always slightly worried, and there was a trace of worry between his brows. Mirren King, who is good at observing words and expressions, keenly caught this change, and asked with concern, Master, why do you look a little sad? Have you encountered any trouble? Xiao Tingfang took a deep breath, nodded, and said in a deep voice, there is indeed some trouble. The main reason I came to Golden Light Fortress this time is to find a way to detoxify your Grandmaster. Your Great Master went on an expedition to a secret land, and was unfortunately poisoned by a strange poison. Black spots with spider patterns appeared on his body, and he vomited blood every day. If it weren't for the support of blood replenishing elixirs, Great Master would have died a long time ago. He paused and continued, before coming to Golden Light Fortress, I have visited many large cities and fairy cities, and also visited many sects and families, but I still haven't found an effective antidote. This time I came here with the mentality of giving it a try. I planned to visit a few alchemists, hoping to find a good way. Because you are also here, I stopped by to see you, hoping to get some help. Hearing this, Mirren King's face became solemn. She whispered, Master, you have worked hard. We will try our best to help find the antidote. Xiao Tingfang nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. Later, Ye Changsheng suggested, since Master is so willing, why don't we go enjoy a spiritual banquet first, take a short rest, and then discuss the next plan. The three of them then headed to a nearby spiritual banquet restaurant. At the banquet, Xiao Tingfang talked eloquently, and shared many insights and experiences in the world of immortality. Ye Changsheng listened with great interest and sighed. Master is indeed an old monster who has lived for 500 or 600 years. He has so much experience, and is very experienced. Mirren King also silently wrote down the alchemist information mentioned by Xiao Tingfang, and secretly thought about how to find a suitable antidote as soon as possible. After the banquet, Ye Changsheng arranged a quiet and comfortable place for Xiao Tingfang to live. Early the next morning, Xiao Tingfang began to visit the 4th level alchemist in the Golden Light Fortress, hoping to find a good antidote. Mirren King and Ye Changsheng sat at the stone table in the courtyard, softly telling the details of Grandmaster's poisoning. Master, Tay's symptoms are really strange. Ye Changsheng frowned and thought, the black spots with spider patterns, vomiting blood every day. This kind of toxicity is indeed rare. Mirren King nodded and said, yes, even Master is helpless. What should we do? Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Actually, besides finding an alchemist, we can also try another way. Oh, what way? Mirren King asked curiously. That is to find those aristocratic families who possess rare elixirs. Ye Changsheng explained. Some aristocratic families have a long history, and have a wide variety of elixirs in their collections. Maybe they have elixirs that can cure this strange poison. Chapter 349 Buddha Light Fruit. When Mirren King heard this, a glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. This is a good idea. Why didn't I think of it then? Let's split up. Ye Changsheng suggested. You go and inquire about these aristocratic families, and I will continue to assist Senior Xiao in visiting the alchemist. Mirren King nodded in agreement, then stood up and left, starting to search around the Golden Light Fortress for information. 3 days later in the evening, Mirren King ran back happily to find Ye Changsheng. Changsheng, I heard some good news, she couldn't wait to say. There really is an expert in the Golden Light Fortress who comes from a family of elixirs. He has a hobby of collecting elixirs, and it is said that he has some unpredictable abilities. After hearing this, Ye Changsheng raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, could this person you are talking about be Shen King Guyan? Mirren King opened her eyes wide in surprise. How did you know? Ye Changsheng smiled bitterly and explained, I have met him several times, and I know that his methods are indeed very good. Mirren King became even more excited when she heard this, jumping 3 feet high. Great. I'll go find the master right now, and the 3 of us will go to see him together. Maybe he can really find a way to detoxify Grandmaster. After saying that, she jumped up and ran to find Zhao Tingfang. Ye Changsheng looked at her retreating back and shook his head gently. He knew in his heart that Shen King Guyan's eyes were high, and he was not easy to talk to. If you want to impress him, I'm afraid you have to come up with some rare elixirs after a while. Mirren King came back with Zhao Tingfang. Zhao Tingfang had a look of surprise on his face. I didn't expect that you, Ye Changsheng, have such a wide range of friends, that you actually know Shen King Guyan, who has great supernatural powers. Ye Changsheng quickly said modestly, it's just a few encounters. This time we meet, I don't know if they are willing to see us. After some discussion, the 3 decided to go to Shen King Guyan's cave immediately. They walked through the bustling streets of Golden Light Fortress and came to a quiet valley on the outskirts of the city. Climbing up the winding mountain road, I finally saw a beautifully carved stone gate. Ye Changsheng stepped forward, took out a communication talisman, and activated it. The talisman turned into a stream of light, penetrated the stone door, and disappeared. The 3 of them waited outside the door for a while, and finally heard footsteps coming from inside. The stone door slowly opened, and a young man with a pale face came out. His eyes were like lightning. He glanced around the 3 of them, and finally landed on Ye Changsheng, revealing a hint of a smile. Young friend Ye, you're fine. Shen King Guyan smiled and said, you are a rare guest, please come in. Ye Changsheng hurriedly saluted, I have met Senior Shen, so I take the liberty of interrupting you today. I also hope to see Heihan. Hey, what are you saying to disturb me? Come in quickly. Shen King Guyan made a gesture of invitation. The 3 of them followed Shen King Guyan into the cave. As soon as I stepped in, I was stunned by the sight in front of me. The entire cave is filled with rare spiritual flowers, colorful and fragrant. Some flowers sway with the wind and make pleasant bells. Some petals flash with faint light, like stars. Some flowers spit out colorful mist from time to time, forming a gorgeous halo in the sky. Mirren King was dazzled by what she saw, and exclaimed, Senior Shen's cave is truly unique. I have never even seen these spiritual flowers. Shen King Guyan smiled lightly, it's just some leisurely elegance. Please sit down, doubting. Monks have to serve here for hundreds of years, and Shen King Guyan has carefully dressed up his cave. After the 4 of them took their seats, Ye Changsheng began to introduce, this is Zhao Sheng's wife Mirren King, and this is King's master Zhao Tingfang. Shen King Guyan nodded and looked at Ye Changsheng with piercing eyes. Young friend Ye, you don't go to the 3 treasures hall for anything. If you have anything to do, just tell me. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and recounted the details of Master Mirren King Tai's poisoning. He described the spider-like black spots that appeared on Tai Shifu's body, his symptoms of vomiting blood every day, and their unsuccessful search for an antidote. So, we took the liberty of coming here today just to ask Senior Shen if you have any solution here. After Ye Changsheng finished speaking, he looked at Shen King Guyan respectfully. After hearing this, Shen King Guyan fell into deep thought. He closed his eyes and pondered for a moment, then slowly said, according to the symptoms you mentioned, this should be due to the curse of a soul-eating spider. Hearing this, the 3 of them couldn't help but hold their breath and nervously waited for the next step. As for the way to detoxify, Shen King Guyan paused. I do have some here, but at this point, Shen King Guyan suddenly stopped talking. As soon as Shen King Guyan stopped talking, I knew what was going on. Mirren King King was also moved and realized the complexity of the matter. Shen Qinggan said, I have a 4th level high grade spiritual fruit here, Buddha's light fruit, which can detoxify this kind of poison. But Ye Xiaoyao knows that I don't sell spiritual medicines. I only exchange them, not sell them. I don't know what spiritual medicines your sect has. Are you willing to exchange this Buddha's light fruit with me? After hearing this, Zhao Tingfang's face changed slightly, and he was obviously stumped. Although there are some treasures in his storage bag, most of them are 4th level low grade elixirs, and at most they are 4th order mid grade elixirs in front of Shen Qinggan. Ordinary 4th level high grade elixirs are difficult to detect, and the exchange becomes even more difficult. Zhao Tingfang was so anxious that he sweated unconsciously. At this moment, Ye Changsheng calmly took out a jade box from his arms, handed it to Shen Qinggan, and said, I wonder if this spiritual fruit can be exchanged for Senior Shen's Buddha light fruit. Shen Qinggan took the jade box, his smile grew, and when he opened it, he said in surprise, this is actually the immortal root fruit. In terms of rarity, this immortal root fruit is enough to rank in the top 10 among the 4th level spiritual medicines, and of course it can be exchanged for my Buddha light fruit. But are you sure you want to use such a precious spiritual fruit to exchange for my Buddha light fruit? Ye Changsheng looked at Mirren with burning eyes. King took a deep breath and said firmly, Senior, change it. Shen Qinggan laughed and praised, okay, it seems that Ye Xiaoyao is a hero who can't resist the temptation of beauty. If you take it out at our 10 friends meeting, my small Buddha light fruit cannot be exchanged. I didn't expect you to give up such a precious treasure for a woman. I won't take advantage of you. I'll give you 3 Buddha light fruits. After that, Shen Qinggan took out 3 jade boxes. Ye Changsheng opened them and saw that they were indeed Buddha light fruits with mixed yuan and Buddha light all over. Ye Changsheng just put away 2 jade boxes, returned one, and said calmly, Senior Shen, 2 are enough. Shen Qinggan was stunned for a moment and then laughed. Ye Xiaoyao is really a wonderful person. Okay, I will accept this Buddha light fruit. I accept your favor. We will talk well in the future. During this process, although Zhao Tingfang was also a 4th level Taoist monk, he couldn't interrupt the conversation between Shen Qinggan and Ye Changsheng at all points. Seeing the precious fairy root fruit being taken out, Zhao Tingfang didn't know what to do. His face looked a little unnatural, sweat dripped down his forehead, and he looked very embarrassed and helpless. Chapter 350 Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng continued, then we will not bother Senior Shen anymore. We will take our leave first. The 3 of them stood up together and prepared to leave. Shen Qinggan saw this and said enthusiastically, I hope that you will come to bother me more often in the future. I'm very envious of your other spiritual medicines. Ye Changsheng smiled and replied, I will, Senior Shen. After bidding farewell to Shen Qinggan, the 3 of them returned to Ye Changsheng's cave in silence. After entering the cave, Ye Changsheng immediately took out a jade box from his arms, handed it to Zhao Tingfang, and said, Senior Zhao, this is a Buddha light fruit you need. Zhao Tingfang took the jade box, his expression excited, and his hands trembled slightly. He carefully opened the jade box and saw the spiritual fruit inside that exuded a soft Buddha light, and a trace of joy flashed in his eyes. He took a deep breath, bowed deeply to Ye Changsheng, and said with a choked voice, Friendly, I, Zhao Tingfang, owe you a huge favor today. In order to help me, you were willing to take out such a precious fairy root fruit, which really makes me feel ashamed. Ye Changsheng smiled and waved his hand, saying, Senior Zhao, you are too kind. It's just a small favor. But Zhao Tingfang was unwilling to let it go easily, and continued, Friendly, after I return to the sect, I will definitely find extremely precious spiritual medicine to repay your loss of the fairy root fruit. I, Zhao Tingfang, will never forget this favor. Mirren King stood aside, listening to the conversation between the 2. With a complex light flashing in her beautiful eyes, she walked gently to Ye Changsheng and said softly, Ye Lang, you have made such a great sacrifice for me. I really don't know how to repay you. I, Mirren King, swear here that I will never let you down in this life. Ye Changsheng turned and looked at Mirren King, his eyes full of tenderness, and said softly, King, as long as you are happy, I can pay any price. Your smile is the best reward for me, Zhao. Tingfang looked at the couple in front of him and couldn't help but sighed. Mirren girl, you have a good eye. You actually found such a perfect husband. Ye Xiaoyao is not only extremely capable, but also infatuated. He is really a rare golden son-in-law. Mirren King blushed slightly when she heard this, lowered her head and said nothing, but the happiness in her eyes could not be concealed. Seeing this, Zhao Tingfang laughed and said, it seems that an old man like me is a bit of an eyesore here. Now that the Buddha light fruit is in hand, I should say goodbye. Ye Xiaoyao, Mirren girl, we will meet again. Ye Changsheng and Mirren King hurriedly saw him off. Ye Changsheng said, Senior Zhao, take care. If you need any help, just ask, Zhao. Tingfang nodded, glanced at Mirren King again, and said meaningfully, girl, cherish the person in front of you. After saying that, he turned and left the cave, and soon disappeared in the crowd in the distance point. After watching Zhao Tingfang leave, Ye Changsheng and Mirren King smiled at each other, and each other's eyes were full of happiness and expectation. After seeing Zhao Tingfang off, Ye Changsheng and Mirren King took a short rest in the cave, and then embarked on the great cause of continuing to look for talents as the sky gradually darkened. The afterglow of the setting sun sprinkled on the mountains, reflecting a golden color. Ye Changsheng already had a goal in mind. He knew that today's destination was a hidden valley in East Street, where the owner of the cave, Ye Changsheng, was the important person he was looking for. This time point after a winding path, Ye Changsheng and Mirren King finally arrived in front of Ye Changsheng's cave. This cave is hidden in the depths of the dense forest, surrounded by lush trees, and it looks particularly peaceful. Ye Changsheng took out a teleportation paper talisman from his arms, waved it gently, and the paper talisman rotated rapidly, turning into a ray of light and shooting into the cave. A moment later, the door of the cave opened in response, and a young man with a sunny face slowly walked out. Brother Yang, Ye Changsheng is here. Ye Changsheng hurriedly reported his name with a respectful and sincere attitude. When Ye Changsheng heard it, his eyes suddenly showed a look of surprise, and he hurriedly invited, Brother Ye, please come in. Please come in. I have heard of your great name for a long time. It is a great honor to meet you today. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and then walked into the cave. The interior of the cave is simple and elegant, and the bamboo and wood structure exudes a natural atmosphere. Ye Changsheng led Ye Changsheng to an elegant seat and personally brewed a pot of fragrant tea for him. The aroma was lingering, making people feel relaxed and happy. Ye Changsheng picked up the teacup, took a sip, felt the tea fragrance spreading in his mouth, and then took out an exquisite storage bag from his arms and handed it to Ye Changsheng solemnly. Brother Yang, here are 500,000 middle grade spirit stones as my gift for this visit. Please accept them. Ye Changsheng was shocked when he heard this and waved his hands repeatedly, saying, Brother Ye is too polite. How can I accept so many spirit stones? Ye Changsheng pretended to be angry and said, could it be that Brother Yang looks down on me? Seeing this, Ye Changsheng hesitated for a moment before carefully taking the storage bag and said, since Brother Ye is so kind, I would rather obey your order. Seeing Ye Changsheng accept the gift, Ye Changsheng showed a happy expression on his face and said, in fact, I came here this time to hire Brother Yang as my bodyguard. Ye Changsheng was stunned when he heard this and asked curiously, what does this mean? Ye Changsheng explained, I heard that Brother Yang has a firm heart and a promising future, so I came to invite him. I wonder if Brother Yang is willing to listen to my conditions. Seeing Ye Changsheng nodding, Ye Changsheng continued, if you become my guard, you will be given 3 million spirit stones every year. We will discuss it after you advance to the Taoist realm. In addition, each mission has contribution points, and the total contribution is 10,000. Click here to redeem Dao Ting Dan. After signing the contract, I will take you to the command center to redeem you for the privilege of not being able to go to the battlefield. However, the minimum contract period is 200 years. As soon as these conditions were spoken, Ye Changsheng's eyes suddenly lit up. He pondered for a moment and said, Brother Ye's conditions are indeed very tempting, but, seeing this, Ye Changsheng asked, just what? Brother Yang just said it doesn't matter. Ye Changsheng hesitated for a moment and confessed, "Brother, you may not know that the skills I practice require Kiming Stone to improve. This kind of spiritual material is quite precious, so I originally planned to find some more lucrative jobs or tasks after my service." Ye Changsheng laughed loudly when he heard this and said, "I see. I have considered this issue for a long time. We can add one to the oath. During the period when you are my guard, I will provide all the strange clear stones you need." Brother Yang thought how, when Yang Changsheng heard this, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he said quickly, "Okay. Since Brother Ye values me so much, I'm willing to sign an oath with you immediately." Ye Changsheng smiled and said, "It is better to obey orders than to be respectful." After that, the two began to sign an oath. Witnessed by the sacred oath, Yang Changsheng officially became Ye Changsheng's bodyguard. After signing the oath, Ye Changsheng immediately took Yang Changsheng to the Golden Light Fortress Command Center. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.